The dungeon entrance was a scene of chaos. "Those bastards," a voice hissed, the words laced with barely controlled fury. "Lizards. Sometimes there are lizard-like creatures, and they're dangerous. Accidents are common in dungeons, and even if something untoward occurs, it's hard to prove anything. No CCTV, nothing to watch from outside." The speaker's voice was grim. The implication was clear. These were dangerous, lawless places. The hunters operated outside the boundaries of normal law, and their actions are difficult to trace. "The weaker you are, the faster you're discarded," the voice continued, painting a stark picture of the hunter's world. "But if you're strong, people will seek that strength." This brutal reality underlined the cutthroat nature of the profession. Hunters were tools, disposable if weak, powerful and valuable if strong. The voice then described the merciless way the weak were discarded. "If they say you're useless, or you get in the way, like a lizard shedding its tail, you're cut away." A warning followed, stark and direct. "I'm telling you, be careful." The scene shifted. Panic filled the air. The entrance. "Those sons of bitches tried to ambush us. They tried to eliminate us for the mana crystals. I couldn't stop them. We were already trapped." A sense of helplessness permeated the account. They had been outmaneuvered, caught in a carefully laid snare. Any resistance would have meant further difficulties. The narrator's voice was calm, though he was clearly shaken, reflecting on the situation. I think it's better to live together," he stated. A decision made with grim pragmatism in the face of overwhelming odds. The narrative returned to the aftermath. "It's great that everyone survived," the narrator acknowledged, a touch of grudging respect in his voice. He then subtly criticized the hunter who had saved them, stating, "But it would be good if you didn't pay attention to small things so much." This subtle critique implied that the hunter who saved them had missed some crucial aspects of the attack. The narrator seemed to have spotted some key details. The implication was clear. Something was deeply amiss. The scene then flashed back. The narrator's companion was identified. So that's what he meant. Did he say he was Joe Gaiwan, the C-rank magician with the light? He sealed off the passage effectively. Getting out isn't a huge problem. But what he managed to block using magic spells, that's a problem. The revelation provided context to their ambush. The magical barrier created by the C-rank magician presented a significant obstacle to their escape, even though it initially seemed like a positive outcome. Then, the narrator explained their strategy, to escape and return later. "A C-rank dungeon boss. Since we memorized the way, getting out is easy. Let's go back after a rest. Why do it this way? If we'd fought them, and the spider woke up, how would we mine and move the mana crystals with the world's weakest E-rank hunter and a D-rank hunter with 0 raid experience? They couldn't beat the boss, no matter how hard they tried. But after the spider ate them and went back to sleep, we could take advantage and get those crystals." Their plan was a calculated risk, built on the assumption of the spider boss's behavior. A shift in the narrative revealed a sinister undercurrent. "Did you see Jinho's equipment? The sword and shield alone are worth millions. If we can't bring all the mana crystals back, we can at least take his stuff, find out which rich family he's from, and at least take care of his funeral." The war caused quite a stir. Shouldn't the boss be pretty angry right now? A callous pragmatism emerged, highlighting the ruthlessness inherent in their world. The possibility of using their circumstances to loot the young hunter's expensive equipment. The conversation then turned to the spider boss. "Gaiwan, do you have the confidence to beat that monster on your own?" The question revealed the enormity of their predicament. A C-rank boss was no small matter. Gaiwan conceded defeat. He wasn't confident at all. Even awakening the boss could have dire consequences for the entire team. A moment of stark tension ensued. Many eyes, hideous mouth, enormous size, long legs. Its strength is on another level. "What idiotic nonsense, Jinho. Stay there." The narrator's voice carried a mixture of disbelief and dawning horror at the power of the creature. Then, the unexpected happened. "That's mine." A bold exclamation, followed by stunned disbelief. "Wait, Hyunwoo, what are you trying to do? Kill it? You're going to fight that thing alone?" The others were shocked. They believed he was simply too weak to engage the boss. However, Hyunwoo, the seemingly weak hunter, exhibited a surprising resilience, even a strange calm. "Even after reawakening, I'm still weak, but I wonder why I don't feel pressure that would bring me to my knees." The blue poison fangs. Risaka, I met in the instant dungeon. It was strong, for an E-rank boss, possibly higher than D-rank. The golem boss was D-rank or lower. In comparison to them, this is unbelievably strong. It probably means I became strong enough not to be intimidated by a C-rank boss. His confidence was surprising and unnerving. He had become much stronger than he had let on. His level, 18, a C-rank boss was doable. My attack worked. Risaka's Fong. It's a pretty good weapon, isn't it? A chilling calm radiated from Hyunwoo's words. The reason a hunter is called a hunter, the real hunt begins now. The narrative concluded with a display of Hyunwoo's stats, confirming his unexpected strength and his possession of a powerful dagger, the Recycler's Fong, capable of inflicting paralysis and bleeding effects. The hunt had turned into something far more dangerous and intriguing. The air in the cavern hung thick and heavy, a silent pressure amplifying the already tense atmosphere. Before me, a colossal arachnid pulsed with a sinister energy, its multifaceted eyes gleaming with predatory intent. It was a dungeon boss, and even from a distance, its sheer scale was intimidating. This wasn't just another hunt. This was a confrontation with something ancient, something powerful, and something profoundly unsettling. My initial assessment was stark. That's an E-rank hunter, I muttered to myself, more a statement of disbelief than a declaration. The creature's defenses were immediately apparent. Its chitinous hide is incredibly thick. If I want to inflict any meaningful damage with my dagger, I'll have to drive it in as deeply as possible. The reality of the situation settled in with chilling clarity. This was no ordinary hunt. The boss was significantly more powerful and agile than I'd anticipated. It has virtually no blind spots. A spider, with its 8 legs, can easily crush the floor. Each strike from this creature is a potent threat. Getting into close-quarters combat will be incredibly dangerous, requiring time and precision. My heart pounded in my chest. This wasn't just a challenge. It was a gamble with potentially fatal consequences. Then, a twist in the narrative presented itself. A puzzle piece that completely shifted my perception of the entire encounter. "What is this?" I exclaimed, my voice barely a whisper against the echoing silence of the cavern. An E-rank hunter? No way. His official guild ranking is definitely E-rank, but those movements, they aren't the movements of an E-rank hunter. There's something deeply wrong here. Could it be a false ranker? Among hunters, there are some who skillfully manipulate their magical signatures. If they choose, they can easily suppress their true power, artificially lowering their evaluation rank. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. This wasn't just a powerful beast I was facing, but potentially a deceptive and dangerous opponent. The ramifications of this discovery were far-reaching. This seemingly ordinary hunt had been elevated to a deadly game of cat and mouse, where perception and deception played as important a role as brute strength and skill. Hunters who deliberately conceal their power to achieve a lower rank are often referred to as false rankers. I mused aloud, the implications of this realization hanging heavily in the air. And the problem is, false rankers are typically highly volatile and unpredictable individuals. Some have a penchant for deadly games, for testing the limits of their own abilities, and for taking undue risks. Their casual disregard for human life is well known. The fight had suddenly become far more dangerous, the stakes exponentially higher. The pressure mounted, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. The fight dragged on, and my own limitations became painfully clear. Why did I even agree to this? I murmured, a wave of self-doubt washing over me. This was my father's idea. How long have I been fighting this thing? 5 minutes? No, closer to 10. Oh no, my stamina is steadily draining. I haven't inflicted substantial damage, and my fatigue level is climbing rapidly. At 57, my speed is significantly reduced. I can't possibly sustain this much longer. There is only one way out of this, only one chance to win this. My mind raced, searching for a solution, for a way to turn the tide of this desperate battle. A plan began to solidify in my mind, a strategy predicated on exploiting the creature's weaknesses. I need to utilize my dagger's special abilities, its unique properties. The only chance of winning this is to utilize the special abilities my weapon possesses. The Recycler's Fong, its name whispered in hushed tones among experienced hunters, was a tool of both lethal precision and devastating potential. Its capabilities were well documented and highly sought after. I reviewed the statistics in my head, confirming my strategy. Effect: paralyze. Any foe I strike has a chance to become completely immobilized. Effect: bleed. Any foe I strike will suffer a 1% health depletion every single second. The key is exploiting the creature's weaknesses. I focused on a core hunting principle. The fundamentals of successful hunting lie in identifying and exploiting weaknesses. The head is the natural weak point for most creatures, and the eyes are undeniably the most vulnerable points of the head. My resolve hardened, my focus sharpened. The fight was a desperate dance between skill, endurance, and cunning. Acid. That's it. The boss was hiding a potent weapon. If this continues, I'll run out of time. There's no room for error against such a powerful opponent. I need to close the distance, and I need to do it faster than before. The urgency of the situation propelled me forward, driving me to summon every ounce of my remaining strength and skill. I activated a skill, a desperate attempt to bridge the distance between me and my formidable opponent. Activate. Sprint LV1 skill. Sprint activated. My movement speed has increased by 30%. I was a blur of motion, a whirlwind of steel and determination. I closed the distance in the blink of an eye. My dagger flashed, driven home with all my remaining strength. Effect. Paralysis activated. Twice. But the enemy's resilience was far greater than I anticipated. The paralysis effect failed to take hold. The crushing disappointment was almost as demoralizing as the continuing assault. I need to end this, and I need to do it now. But critical hits are proving incredibly elusive. Fatigue. 61. This is becoming increasingly desperate. My opponent continued its assault, its attacks unwavering and relentless. He's fast, but his stamina is failing too. What will he do? The situation was growing increasingly critical. Failure was becoming a real possibility. My fatigue was crippling. Fatigue levels had reached a critical 70. A ray of hope, however faint, appeared on the horizon. A daily quest notification appeared on my interface. Quest objectives: push-ups, 100 repetitions, curl-ups, 100 repetitions, squats, 100 repetitions, and a 1-kilometer run. Quest rewards: choose 1 reward, 1. Status recovery, 2. Step points, 3. A random box. Will you accept your rewards? The decision was immediate. Status recovery was the only option that could turn the tide. Accept. Plus 3 status recovery. My strength, my speed, my focus returned with overwhelming force. The final engagement was a blur of motion, a whirlwind of steel and determination. The effects of my dagger's special abilities landed once more. Effect. Paralysis activated. Effect. Bleed activated. Your foe will lose 1% health every second. The final blow struck, the creature's movement ceasing, its predatory energy dissipating. The dungeon boss has been defeated. You leveled up. You leveled up. You leveled up. A wave of overwhelming relief washed over me, a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Thank goodness I didn't accept the other rewards. If I had, I have no idea what might have happened. The battle was, in retrospect, astonishing. The seemingly insurmountable odds had been overcome. The opponent, far stronger and far more cunning than I'd initially anticipated, had been vanquished. He really took down the boss by himself. There's no way this person was just an E-rank hunter. He's definitely a false ranker, I concluded, the lingering mystery of his true abilities adding an intriguing layer to the already suspenseful narrative. The final reveal of his stats confirmed the significant victory and his level up, marking his rise to level 21, fatigue fully recovered, and substantial increases in various stats. The hunt was over, for now, but a lingering sense of wonder and suspense hung in the air, hinting at future challenges and the unfathomable potential of the young hunter. The cavern fell silent, the only sound the heavy breathing of the hunters. The air crackled with unspoken questions, the aftermath of the battle hanging heavy and unsettling. What? Those guys are still alive? One hunter exclaimed, his voice a mixture of disbelief and dawning horror. Is the boss gone? What happened? Did they actually defeat it by themselves? Was that massive spider simply oversized and lacking in intelligence? The questions tumbled out, fueled by a potent blend of astonishment and suspicion. The reality of the situation was far more complex, far more unsettling than anyone had anticipated. The implications of the unexpected outcome began to sink in, the pieces of the puzzle slowly clicking into place. If it was that other hunter's equipment, one of the hunters mused, a calculating glint in his eyes, it's plausible that he could have single-handedly subdued a C-rank boss. But a D-rank and an E-rank hunter managing to defeat a boss? That's completely unheard of. That's all the evidence I need. Eugene, I severely underestimated you. There's no way an E-rank hunter could have provided any meaningful assistance in this encounter. He must have overcome the boss entirely on his own. I'm completely baffled. I have no idea what kind of extraordinary abilities that equipment possesses, but it makes him a very, very dangerous adversary. It might be incredibly unwise to make him an enemy. The previously casual tone had been replaced by a cautious, apprehensive undercurrent. The situation had escalated dramatically, and the potential repercussions were far-reaching. A strategic shift was urgently required, the necessity for a revised approach starkly evident. What do we do now? Obviously, we need to secure his allegiance. We must bring Jinho onto our side. I investigated him. His equipment was far too extravagant for an E-rank hunter. He turned out to be the son of a highly influential figure, the chairman of Eugene Architecture. He's exceptionally well-connected. The speaker's tone shifted from wary assessment to calculated persuasion. A subtle shift in tactics was employed. So, what? I initially believed he was just another rich kid. But this changes everything. I need to have a discussion with his father. The casual tone had disappeared, replaced by cold, calculated pragmatism. The ensuing conversation took a sharp, ominous turn. A blatant threat, veiled in the guise of an offer, was extended. We'll offer you a chance at survival. Eliminate Sung Jin-Woo and join our group. It's the only path to survival. Otherwise, you both face elimination. Why hesitate? Nobody will ever know what occurred within the confines of this dungeon. The speaker's words dripped with chilling implications. The threat was unmistakable, a stark reminder of the brutal realities of the hunter's world. Fear became a palpable entity within the cavern, amplifying the already tense atmosphere. A new aspect of the situation emerged, highlighting a critical vulnerability within the group's dynamics. Are you perhaps apprehensive about facing high-ranking hunters? I'm his savior. From his perspective, the speaker stated, his tone dismissive and condescending. His voice was devoid of empathy, reflecting a cold, calculating pragmatism. What foolish thoughts. It's a certainty that I'll be betrayed. I'm weak. The chilling self-awareness underscored the speaker's vulnerability, his position within the group's hierarchy. The tension escalated as the seemingly simple conflict morphed into a complex game of power, manipulation, and desperate survival. What's this? You're going to side with him and fight us, Dong-suk? What should we do? The leader's voice was a mixture of shock and anger at this unexpected development. The carefully constructed power dynamic within the group had been irrevocably disrupted. A pragmatic assessment of the situation followed, a cold calculation devoid of sentimentality. Eliminating the son of a wealthy family would be rather wasteful. We should prioritize eliminating the weaker one first. You two, have you ever eliminated a human before? The question hung heavy in the air, an uncomfortable reminder of the darker aspects of their profession. The casual cruelty was unsettling, reflecting the amorality inherent in their world. The moment of tense contemplation was abruptly shattered by an unexpected interruption, a system notification. An emergency quest has been issued, the system's monotone voice announced, its tone devoid of emotion. Emergency quest, eliminate the enemy. There are entities nearby who intend to eliminate the player. Eliminate them and ensure your safety. If this quest isn't completed, a penalty will be imposed. The carefully constructed plan disintegrated, replaced by a desperate struggle for survival against an unseen, implacable force. The system itself had entered the equation, transforming a simple power struggle into a life-or-death fight against an unyielding, uncaring algorithm. The shock rippled through the hunters. Their neatly orchestrated plans had been irrevocably disrupted. The urgency of the situation became terrifyingly clear. What is this? The system? What's going on? The system message clarified the nature of the emergency quest. Quest info, emergency quest. Eliminate the enemy. There are entities nearby who intend to eliminate the player. Eliminate them to ensure your safety. If this quest is not completed, your heart will stop. Enemies required to be eliminated. 8. The hunters were now in a race against time, their lives hanging precariously in the balance. The weight of the system's mandate descended upon them, transforming the interpersonal conflict into a desperate battle for survival. The tension ratcheted up, the situation rapidly deteriorating. Sir, Jinho, disregard the fallen and come over here. A desperate plea underscored the urgency, the fear palpable in the speaker's voice. Why did I forget? This is a world that prioritizes survival of the fittest above all else. The speaker's voice was laced with a mixture of self-reproach and dawning realization. The fundamental reality of their existence was starkly revealed. A merciless world where only the strongest survive. Yes, my thinking has been fundamentally flawed until now. The countless times I've entered dungeons, pushing my limits, healing, and returning again and again. This is why I'm so apprehensive. There's no such thing as a safe place here. The hunter's voice was heavy with a newfound understanding, the weight of the system's ruthlessness pressing down on him. The seemingly simple quest had become a desperate struggle for existence, a fight against not just other hunters, but against the very system that governed their lives. The implications of the emergency quest became agonizingly clear. Emergency quest, eliminate the enemies. There are entities nearby who intend to eliminate the player. Eliminate them to ensure your safety. If this quest isn't completed, your heart will stop. Enemies eliminated. 8. The system is forcing me to eliminate them. Eliminate them to ensure your safety. If this quest is not completed, your heart will stop. Threat level, high. If you don't want to be eliminated, you'd better comply. The cold, impersonal tone of the system's message left no room for doubt. The choice was stark: comply or face the consequences. The hunters were thrown into a brutal dilemma, their choices limited and their fate hanging precariously in the balance. Wouldn't it be rather awkward if I were eliminated? This isn't merely a coincidence or an act of goodwill. This is exactly what the system demands. A strong Sung Jin-Woo. HP, 1360, 26. It's not about making me stronger. It's purely about survival. The hunter's words were imbued with a stark understanding of the system's ruthlessness. The seemingly straightforward hunt had evolved into a harrowing test of survival, the line between hunter and hunted blurred and indistinct. The appearance of a seemingly unharmed Sung Jin-Woo dramatically shifted the power dynamics once more, adding a layer of complexity to the unfolding events. Huh? That guy is still alive? I can see now. The system wants me to become stronger. It's perfectly clear. The system uses me, and I, in turn, use the system. The hunter's voice carried a newfound confidence, an understanding of the game he was playing. The subtle shift from desperate survival to calculated manipulation underscored the character's growth and adaptability. The accusations flew, the tension reaching a fever pitch. Guy 1. Has your skill deteriorated? How embarrassing. He should be capable of eliminating an ear anchor in a single strike. Guy 1. You should have approached this more seriously. I poured everything I had into that magical attack. I used a tremendous amount of magical energy, but how did this happen? Was my aim off? The speaker's frustration and anger were. The cavern was eerily quiet, the only sound the ragged breaths of the surviving hunters. The recent events hung heavy in the air, a chilling mixture of disbelief and dawning fear. The system's stark announcement echoed in their minds. 1 enemy remains to be eliminated. 7 enemies eliminated. Jae Juntai's voice cut through the silence, raw with shock and outrage. What? That bastard. Where did he even get that weapon? No matter how unguarded Juntai was, he was still a D-rank hunter. How did an E-rank hunter? The questions hung unanswered, the implications deeply disturbing. The weight of the situation settled upon me, the cold reality impossible to ignore. I ended up eliminating a human being. I can argue that the system compelled me, but that doesn't alter the fact that I took a life. If I hadn't acted, I would have been eliminated. I couldn't escape this. It's a survival of the fittest environment. A grim acceptance settled over me, a chilling awareness of the brutal reality of the hunter's world. My actions, though forced, were irreversible. The tense moment was broken by a sudden, jarring shift. Yo, son, you aren't injured, are you? It's okay. We're behind you. A forced cheerfulness masked the underlying tension, the attempt at camaraderie a thin veil over the stark reality of the situation. The other hunters seemed to be more relaxed than I was. Haha, okay. Wake up, boss. A few of them are down. My belly's finally full. I finally joined a big guild, so I can try this. I was a member of the church choir. If it's singing and praising, I've got this. The hunter seemed utterly unaffected by the disturbing events. The clash between the other hunter's casual demeanor and the gravity of the situation was striking. The relief was short-lived. Who brought us here? Hey, no, Song Heil. It was you. I also have a family. I don't want to be eliminated here. I don't want to be eliminated. I'm sorry, Mr. Who. The desperate pleas were heartbreaking, the raw fear palpable. The casualness of the previous moment had evaporated, replaced by a chilling sense of vulnerability and desperation. The scene shifted, the focus turning to a new threat. The hunter's grim assessment of the situation resonated with chilling clarity. I don't know what he just did, but don't let your guard down. Guy 1. Give him another strike. The attack was swift and precise, a testament to the hunter's skill and determination. Yet, even this assault proved futile, highlighting the unexpected strength of their adversary. The hunter's frustration and disbelief were evident in his voice. Your magic is incredibly annoying. His tone was sharp, laced with a mixture of exasperation and dawning fear. The hunter's focus shifted, observing their foe's unsettling movements with growing unease. How is an E-rank hunter moving like this? My attacks are completely missing their mark. He's far too fast. If you consider yourselves hunters, then hunt. Hunters were created to hunt. After all, the challenge was laid down, a stark reminder of the ruthlessness of the hunter's code. The chilling effects of the hunter's abilities became immediately apparent. Effect: paralysis activated. My body is completely frozen. Magic? Is that magic? That son of a bitch is strong. I think he's even stronger than when he subdued the dungeon boss. Cool. Effect. Bleed activated. Effect. Paralysis activated. What is this guy's identity? The rapidly escalating events underscored the unexpected power and skill of their opponent. The tide turned decisively. In a flash, all our members. You bastard. You were hiding your skills. Were you the one who subdued the dungeon boss? The realization was both stunning and terrifying. The hunters' confidence and bravado crumbled in the face of overwhelming force. Their previously carefully constructed plans shattered beyond repair. The system's relentless pursuit of its objective continued, its cold, impartial mandate immutable. Enemies required to be eliminated. 8. Enemies eliminated. 7. I never expected all my members to be subdued. I'll show you that not all C-rankers are on the same level. The hunter's resolve stiffened, his defiance a last stand against the impending threat. His confident declaration underscored his determination. His strategy was clear, to overwhelm his opponent through superior strength and stamina. Empower 10. No matter how powerful he is, there's no way he won't be exhausted after facing a dungeon boss and 7 hunters. You can't break my defenses by swinging a dagger with an exhausted body. His focus was sharp, his confidence unwavering. A hunter specialized in agility and dexterity shouldn't possess a skill capable of penetrating his empower skill. He would be utterly destroyed the moment he strikes me. The unexpected happened, defying all expectations, shattering any semblance of certainty. Leader Hwang Dong-suk, you're strong, but there's something you don't know. A chilling certainty resonated in the hunter's words. I'm constantly leveling up, incessantly. A sudden, violent action took place. Cough, cough. What just happened? Did he just slam me into the ground? This guy, there's no way he's an E-rank hunter. Does that mean he's a false ranker? Wait, don't eliminate me. Spare me. Oh, I'll give you money. You can have all the mana crystals here, and the magic crystals too. 3 times. Are you begging for forgiveness? You attempted elimination 3 times. Stop it. Do you think you'll escape the consequences? Didn't you say nobody knows what happens inside a dungeon? You bastard. Do you even know who my younger brother is? The desperate pleas were cut short by the cold, implacable reality of the hunter's world. The power dynamic had shifted once more, the hunter's previous confidence replaced by a mixture of fear and grudging respect. The aftermath of the encounter was both chaotic and unsettling. My clothes are a mess again. The size doesn't fit anymore. I guess I'll buy some new clothes. The hunter's nonchalant observation juxtaposed sharply with the gravity of the situation. A new phase of the hunt began. The boss has been subdued. The dungeon is closing. Let's leave quickly. The urgency of the situation was undeniable. The system notification appeared again. Quest reward, emergency quest. Eliminate the enemy. Completion conditions met. Will you receive the reward? Accept. Refuse. Quest rewards. Choose your rewards. You may choose from the rewards below. Reward number 1. Status recovery. Reward number 2. Experience points plus 10. Reward number 3. Skill, bloodlust. Will you accept your rewards? Accept. Refuse. X skills. Active. Bloodlust LV1. 100 mana. Using a strong energy, the selected target is placed in a state of fear for 1 minute. Several targets can be selected. Effective fear. All stats reduced by 50%. The final moments were a jarring contrast between the immediate aftermath and the chilling implications of the hunter's actions and the system's relentless pursuit of its objectives. The final scene shifted abruptly, the setting changing from the dark, claustrophobic dungeon to a bright, bustling city street. Washington, USA. A lovely morning. What time is it in Korea? Huh, did I have a bad dream? My eyes are wet. The ending leaves the viewer with a haunting sense of unease and uncertainty, the hunter's journey far from over. The true extent of his power and the implications of his actions remain chillingly ambiguous, underscoring the morally gray nature of the hunter's world. The hushed atmosphere in the guild manager Eugene office was thick with unspoken tension. The recent C-rank dungeon raid had concluded in an unsettling manner, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and unsettling implications. 8 experienced hunters were incapacitated, an unusual outcome that demanded a thorough explanation. Eugene, a man known for his sharp intellect and unwavering calm, addressed his subordinate. What is this report detailing? In a C-rank dungeon raid, 8 hunters were incapacitated. The surviving hunters were a D-rank and an E-rank. It appears they simply abandoned the dungeon. Isn't that a fairly common occurrence? The subordinate, however, offered a response that defied expectations, shattering the anticipated routine explanation of a simple hunter mishap. No, sir. They didn't abandon the dungeon. They completed it. Yogenshul's eyebrows rose, his curiosity piqued. He probed deeper, his questions precise and revealing. The D-rank hunter, Jinho, possessed exceptionally high-grade equipment. Given the quality of his gear, it's conceivable that he single-handedly subdued the C-rank boss. The boss, the giant arachnid Beryura, shouldn't pose a significant threat to a well-coordinated team. Therefore, the fact that 8 seasoned hunters were incapacitated is profoundly perplexing. Let's dispense with the formalities. Tell me everything. If there weren't extraordinary circumstances, you wouldn't have sought my direct involvement. The manager's words were sharp, his tone leaving no room for ambiguity. He demanded a complete, unvarnished account of the events. The subordinate continued, revealing a crucial detail that fundamentally altered the nature of the investigation. The other survivor, sir, was Hunter Sung Jin-Woo, from the notorious dungeon incident. Sung Jin-Woo. While there are certain unusual aspects to this, I don't believe it warrants significant concern. We utilized a state-of-the-art magic strength measurement device, an extremely rare item acquired from a high-rank monster awakening, and even that advanced technology didn't reveal anything exceptional. Therefore, there's no compelling reason to suspect him further. A standard review of his past performance should be sufficient. I, too, am inclined to dismiss it as a mere coincidence, but I cannot simply ignore the circumstances. One of the incapacitated hunters was Wang Dong-suk. The manager's expression changed subtly, a flicker of recognition crossing his features. Wang Dong-suk? You're referring to Hunter Wang Dong-suk's older brother? If that's the case, this cannot be dismissed. This demands a thorough, impartial investigation. The casual tone had vanished, replaced by a calculated seriousness. What had begun as a routine report had transformed into a complex case with potentially far-reaching consequences. The scene shifted, revealing a different hunter, a man whose usual miserly habits were inexplicably altered. He was indulging in a surprisingly lavish meal of chicken wings. A colleague, noticing the uncharacteristic extravagance, inquired with mild curiosity, "Why the chicken wings? Did something fortunate occur?" The hunter responded cautiously, a hint of hesitancy in his tone. "Well, I'm uncertain whether it's truly fortunate or not. Tell me, what transpired? You're typically so economical. I had the urge to celebrate, to indulge in some alcoholic beverages, but the desire simply wasn't there. Then, the alarm sounded. A harmful substance has been detected. Buff, Q poison. Effect, healing. It seems the system has bestowed upon me a unique ability. It's purifying even alcohol." The unexpected intervention of the system added a layer of intrigue and unease to the narrative. The system interrupted the conversation with a series of notifications, each one more unsettling than the last. Q poison has been neutralized. You've received a reward. The system has granted you a reward immediately following your emergence from the dungeon. Disaster alarm. You've fulfilled all the requirements for the secret quest, Courage of the Weak. Message, you have unread mail. Given recent developments, I overlooked it. Should he fail to comply with the system's directives, there may be penalties imposed. Your rewards have arrived. To think, the system granted me this reward. Quest reward, Secret Quest, Courage of the Weak. Great Spellcaster Candy Arrow's Blessing. The Great Spellcaster Candy Arrow has gifted you with a special spell. Candy Arrow's blessing guarantees you will always be strong and healthy throughout your life. It's thanks to this quest reward that my lost leg has been completely regenerated. Quest reward, temporary effect, will to rehabilitate. Any missing body parts are restored. Permanent effect, longevity. All diseases, poisons, and status effects are cured. Sleep dramatically enhances your regeneration ability. The sheer power of the reward was astonishing. The implications profound and far-reaching. The implications of this extraordinary reward hung heavy in the air, prompting a chain of thought. Wait, if I'm now immune to all poisons, aren't you eating? If you aren't, I'll eat it for you. Feel free to indulge. Gain some weight. The The stark contrast between the recent life-threatening events and the casual nature of the conversation was jarring. The tone shifted to a discussion about the hunter's recent transformation. It's difficult to adjust to him since he began his intense training regimen. He was always so easygoing, and it seems his personality has shifted somewhat. I believe he appears sharper too. Is it simply the effects of his rigorous exercise? It's not as if anything unusual happened within the dungeon, is it? The subtle but significant change in the hunter's demeanor prompted speculation, underscoring the mystery surrounding the recent events. The system's notifications continued, providing further details. Item: Recycler's Venom. Item class: A. Type: Potion. A pouch containing Recycler's purified venom. Obtainable only by subduing Rasaka. Extremely low drop rate. Consuming it grants hardened skin but reduces your strength. Effect: Recycler's Steel Scales. Minus 20% physical damage taken. Debuff: Weaken muscles. Minus 35 strength. If status effects are automatically healed, won't this item's negative effects also be removed? There's no reason to suspect. The system's message was interrupted, its robotic voice cutting off mid-sentence. A harmful substance has been detected in your body. X321Q poison has been neutralized. Item: Recycler's Venom. Effect: Weakened muscles is dissipating. The system's actions were both unexpected and unsettling, further highlighting the unpredictable and often arbitrary nature of the game's mechanics. The hunter's updated stats were displayed, reflecting the changes brought about by the recent events. Just as I suspected. Strength: 538, Vitality: 308, Agility: 38, Intelligence: 328. Physical damage reduction: 20%. Activating. A new development shifted the focus of the conversation. Do you know someone named Jinho? He's on the phone, requesting to speak with you. The scene transitioned to a bustling cafe, a stark contrast to the claustrophobic confines of the dungeon. Café Penny, sir, this way? How did you locate my number? I have some contacts within the guild. Would you like a coffee? The casual setting seemed incongruous with the gravity of the recent events. I'm fine, thank you. I certainly didn't anticipate seeing you again so soon. You were my savior. You shared all the magic crystals with me, allowing me to earn a significant amount of money. It totals 1,008,001 after tax. Because you remained silent, there haven't been any further issues. Those hunters attempted to eliminate us. We are hunters, we can't simply be eliminated. It was a confrontation between hunters. That hunter was a false ranker, a maniac who derives satisfaction from eliminating others. He's someone I'd prefer never to encounter again. The conversation turned to a more critical subject, the hunter's ambitions. So, why did you request this meeting? Sir, I'm currently attempting to establish a personal attack force. My request was denied. But I hadn't even finished my sentence before the denial. I don't need to hear your excuses. Since you are forming an attack force, you want me to join, correct? Sir, I was considering this, but I have no intention of engaging in frivolous games with someone from a wealthy family. I'm leaving if there's nothing further to discuss. The hunter's tone was firm, unwavering. The persistent pursuit of the other hunter, however, continued. Just 20 more raids. No, please join me. Just 19 more raids remain. We'll undertake them together. We'll go to dungeons together. Yes, I will ensure you receive your appropriate share of the rewards. The crisp soul air nipped at Jinwoo's cheeks as he jogged, the rhythmic thud of his feet a counterpoint to the city's hum. He glanced over his shoulder. Gina, his younger sister, was trailing behind, her pace deliberately slow. A smirk played on his lips. He knew this little game. Why are you suddenly shadowing me on my workout? He asked, his voice laced with playful annoyance. Gina huffed, her breath misting in the cold air. You've been awfully aloof lately, all nose to the grindstone. Jinwoo slowed to a walk, allowing her to catch up. It's not good to spend too much time at a desk, he countered, a hint of defensiveness in his tone. The truth, however, was far more complex. He was burdened by a secret, a weight pressing down on him, a secret that had transformed his life. Don't fall behind, he added, a subtle jab meant to break the tension. They continued their jog in silence for a few moments, the rhythmic pounding of their feet echoing in the quiet morning. Then Gina broke the silence. Gina, she began, her voice almost a whisper. Then, she continued. Hypothetically, if you suddenly came into a vast fortune, say, a significant sum, she paused, testing the waters, what would you do? Jinho raised an eyebrow, surprised by the unexpected question. Why do you ask? He inquired, his curiosity piqued. Well, Gina replied, her eyes darting around, maybe deposit it or, move into a bigger house. She chuckled, her expression light, but her eyes betrayed a certain nervousness. And the rest? She asked. What about the leftovers? Jinho pondered the question, a flicker of unease dancing within him. The sheer scale of such wealth was almost incomprehensible. I haven't really thought about it, he admitted, honesty coloring his response. The thought of 3 billion won, a sum that could change their lives completely, filled him with a strange mixture of anticipation and trepidation. Aren't the numbers too unrealistic? Gina asked, a hint of skepticism in her voice. Why 3 billion? Jinho stopped, the question forcing him to confront the reality of his situation. It's not that unrealistic, he said, his voice taking on a more serious tone. He knew the source of this unexpected windfall, the price of a deal he'd struck, a deal that would shape his destiny. A car pulled up beside them, abruptly interrupting their conversation. The window rolled down, revealing his brother. Hey, brother, his brother called out, his voice filled with a certain urgency. Wait for me. What the heck are you doing? Jinho exchanged glances with Gina, a shared look of intrigue and concern passing between them. His brother, ever the impulsive one, was rarely this flustered. A hunter is a hunter, though, his brother continued, his voice regaining its composure. 3 billion. It's for the building we're constructing. We plan on using it as the guild office. The estimated price is 3 billion, but it'll rise. One building for completing 19 C rank raids. He trailed off, his eyes narrowed in thought. So you're saying it's just a small investment, as long as you can become a guild master? Jinho nodded slowly, the implications sinking in. His brother's words painted a picture of ambition, of a gamble on his unprecedented potential. That is correct, sir, his brother confirmed, his tone respectful. What should I do? The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken expectations. 3 billion won. It was a sum that would make most people jump at the opportunity. But for Jinho, it was more than just money. It was a challenge, a testament to the path he'd chosen. Normally, there would be no reason to refuse, Jinho said, his voice thoughtful. But I am aware of it. I'm a special case, even among the awakened. Since nobody has heard of a hunter that can level up and grow stronger at this rate, he paused, considering his words carefully. If I continue to level up like this, it's possible that I could reach S rank. No, maybe something even stronger than that. If that happens, 3 billion is nothing. But I have a condition. His brother's face lit up, eager to hear what Jinho had to say. You can tell me anything, sir, he replied, his voice brimming with anticipation. You and me, Jinho stated, his voice unwavering. No one else. We go in alone, sir. His brother's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of concern crossing his features. If I'm not misunderstanding, we have to clear these C-rank dungeons by ourselves? He asked, a questioning tone in his voice. Jinho nodded, the weight of his decision settling upon him. You understood perfectly. But to enter a C-rank gate, there must be at least 10 members. If we offer a reward just for filling the headcount, there will definitely be people lining up. We're using the method Huangdong's accused of using, his brother added, his voice tinged with apprehension. But isn't it too dangerous, sir? Jinho understood the risk, the potential consequences. You can't connect 2 and 2, he explained, his voice calm yet firm. If we're fine, nobody else will get hurt. Think about it. Say we successfully completed 19 raids. After creating an attack force, we become an attack force that came out safely 19 times. Won't that be helpful in showing your skill to your father? His brother considered Jinho's words, the implications slowly dawning on him. The strategic brilliance of it, the risk, the potential reward. It was a high-stakes gamble, but one with potentially enormous payoffs. 10, his brother said finally, a decisive nod confirming his agreement. I get it. Let's do it that way. So I will recruit our teammates. The conversation shifted, the weight of the earlier discussion momentarily forgotten. The mundane routine of daily life returned, the humdrum tasks, the relentless grind of training. Alarm, daily quest, preparing to become strong, has been completed, a robotic voice announced from Jinho's smart device. Jinho sighed. Oops, I accidentally overdid it. I was lost in thought. He had pushed himself far beyond his usual limits. Push-ups, 100, curl-ups, 100, squats, 100, running, 1.1 kilometers. The voice continued reporting his increasingly intense training regimen. "What happened to Jenna?" his brother asked, noticing Jinho's exhaustion. "Does it matter?" Jinho retorted, his voice gruff. He was fixated on the goal, on the looming challenge ahead. He continued his rigorous workout, his body screaming in protest. The daily quest notification appeared again. The training regimen repeated. Only this time, the numbers were doubled. Push-ups, 200, curl-ups, 200, squats, 200, running, 2.2 kilometers, the voice announced. It was relentless. "It's not going above 200, Jinho muttered, noticing a strange cap on his workout's effectiveness. A code appeared on his device, /U64/UC600. He puzzled over it, wondering if it applied to his running as well. 200 kilometers was an impossible feat. "Let's start with 20 kilometers, he decided, his determination unwavering, despite the physical strain. A new message arrived. It was a fax from his brother. "Brother, Washington, USA. Fax me the information of the 2 survivors. The number is Mr. Huang." Jinho's phone buzzed again. This time, it was an international call. "What are you doing at this hour?" the voice inquired, a familiar tone laced with concern. It was Lola, his contact in the States. "Lola, can I ask you something?" he began. "What happens if I incapacitate someone in Korea?" Lola's gasp was audible through the phone. "Samsung, are you serious? Korea hasn't yet concluded the Indian Treaty of Criminal Hunters. Since you're a hunter from America, you'll receive a trial in America, and there probably won't be much hassle with the government due to the negotiations." A dark cloud passed over Jinho. "Thank goodness," he muttered, the relief palpable. "Some individuals harmed my brother. If I don't at least find them, I won't be satisfied." His brother's message cut through the relief. S-rank Hunter Huang Dongsu, Scavenger Guild. "Brother, 7 squad members all incapacitated. The other 2 came out alive. The survivors' ranks were D and E, bro. Isn't that type of person to put his life on the line for weak teammates? Also, they were fillers, not normal team members. They must have set a trap and incapacitated him. That's why I told you that you can't do anything without me." The gravity of the situation hit Jinho hard. "I'll have to visit Korea for a while," he stated grimly. "Can you empty my schedule?" Lola's voice registered the urgency in his tone. "But Mr. Huang, if you leave so suddenly, the guild will become paralyzed. When can you free some time? Around 2 weeks from now?" Jinho asked, his voice taut with urgency. The flickering screen displayed the digitized inferno of Hellsgate. A colossal, 3-headed hound, Cerberus, stood sentinel, its fur the color of burning coals. Across the digital landscape, the words, "Hell's Gatekeeper Cerberus," materialized. "I'll become much stronger," a voice, resolute and steely, echoed. The viewpoint shifted, revealing a young man, Sung Jin-Woo, his face grim, his eyes locked onto the monstrous gatekeeper. "I can't afford to falter here." He understood the risks, the immense power radiating from the gate, but retreat wasn't an option. "Fear won't make me stronger. Cerberus, I will overcome you." The system interface flickered, displaying a cascade of information. An S-rank key, access to the demon castle. Jinho knew the implications. S-rank dungeons were notorious death traps, desolate wastelands where even seasoned hunter teams vanished without a trace. Jeju Island, once vibrant, now stood as a grim testament to the destructive power of an S-rank gate. He wasn't ready for this level of danger. He needed to grow stronger, to level up, to hone his skills in less perilous instant dungeons. He understood the mechanics of the system. The higher his level, the less likely he was to encounter these catastrophic S-rank gates. A blessing and a curse. "The best choice is to prepare," he muttered, reviewing his current abilities. He activated Sprint, a burst of speed enhancing his agility. Then, he unleashed Bloodlust, an attempt to weaken the Cerberus. The system notification flashed. The enemy's resistance was too high. The effect was cancelled. A wave of frustration washed over him. Even with the Wolf Slayer title boosting his stats against beast-type monsters, his attacks barely scratched the gatekeeper. The sheer difference in power was staggering. The system blared another warning. Cerberus is using skill, wrath. The 3-headed hound pulsed with an infernal energy, its size doubling, its power amplified. Jinho felt a surge of adrenaline. This wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a test. A test of his resolve, his adaptability, his will to overcome impossible odds. He dodged Cerberus's first strike, the ground trembling from the force of the impact. He was outmatched, outgunned, but he refused to yield. The battle raged. System notifications flooded his vision, tracking his dwindling health, activating his perseverance skill, a last-ditch effort to mitigate the incoming damage. Each attack from Cerberus sent shockwaves through his body, each dodge a desperate gamble. He was pushed to the brink, his health plummeting. But something within him snapped. He recalled the words of the system, the strange reawakening, the burden of becoming someone's avatar. He had to exceed expectations, to defy the limits imposed upon him. A primal scream ripped through his throat, a declaration of defiance against the system, against the impossible odds. "Devour the system," he roared, unleashing a torrent of attacks, fueled by a desperate, almost reckless abandon. He fought with the ferocity of a cornered animal, his movements becoming more fluid, more instinctive. He learned, he adapted, he evolved. Mid-battle, the tide began to turn. His attacks, once ineffectual, now landed with greater force, chipping away at Cerberus's seemingly impenetrable defenses. The digital landscape trembled as the two forces clashed, a whirlwind of energy and raw power. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Cerberus stumbled, its infernal glow dimming. Jinho pressed his advantage, unleashing a final, devastating blow. The monstrous hound dissolved into pixels, its roar fading into silence. The system notifications returned, this time bearing tidings of victory. "You have slain Hell's gatekeeper Cerberus." A cascade of level-up notifications followed, a testament to his hard-fought victory. He stood amidst the digital ruins, his body battered, his spirit unbroken. He had stared into the abyss and emerged victorious. He knew he wasn't ready to face the demon castle yet, but he was no longer the same hunter who had entered the gate. He had proven to himself that he could overcome any obstacle, any challenge. He would return, stronger, more determined than ever. As he collected his rewards, the warden's necklace, the castle door key, and a Cerberus fong, a new message appeared, a communication from the outside world. A businessman, offering a substantial sum for a delicate task. Jinho listened patiently, the businessman's pleas growing increasingly desperate. He spoke of rivals, of insects that needed to be dealt with, of other hunters complicit in their schemes. He offered more money, a staggering amount, to ensure their silence. Jinho considered the offer. He had witnessed the darkness within the dungeons, the ruthlessness of the system, the lengths people would go to for power. He understood the businessman's desperation, his desire for retribution. "It's no problem for me to deal with these insects," Jinho replied, his voice devoid of emotion. He had a score to settle with the system, and perhaps with those who abused its power. He was no longer just a hunter. He was a force to be reckoned with. The businessman, relieved, continued to explain his reasons for contacting Jinho directly. He revealed his position within the Hunters Guild, his unconventional methods, his preference for eliminating threats permanently. His final words sent a chill down Jinho's spine. "For me," the businessman confessed, "it's much more fun to handle people than monsters." Jinho ended the communication, a grim understanding settling upon him. The world outside the dungeons was just as dangerous, just as ruthless. He was stepping into a new arena, a new game, where the lines between hunter and hunted were blurred. He was ready. The air in the training hall crackled with tension, not from the clash of steel, but from the unspoken words hanging between master and student. The rhythmic clang of their practiced swords echoed through the spacious room, each parry and thrust a testament to years of honed skill. "Ha ha ha, master. You're as skilled as always." The student, a young man with a respectful but playful grin, wiped a bead of sweat from his brow. The master, his face etched with the wisdom of age, chuckled. "What are you saying? This old body will become useless if I don't train it properly." "It's obvious you were going easy on me," the student retorted, his eyes twinkling. "Were you putting less strength in your thumb out of consideration for me?" The master's smile faded slightly. "That wasn't even a handicap. If you still had both of your arms." "Stop. You're still talking about that, even after it's been a few months, the student interrupted, his voice laced with a hint of pain. The phantom ache of his missing limbs still lingered, a constant reminder of a past he struggled to reconcile with. Suddenly, a shrill ring pierced the air. An emergency call. The master sighed. Low-rank hunters keep getting these kind of annoying calls. We'll have to stop here for today, master, the student said, sheathing his sword. Are you really planning on postponing your retirement? The master looked out the window, his gaze distant. Retirement? Even if I live, how long will I last with my remaining life? I want to stay useful to this world. The student raised an eyebrow. But this is really surprising. An S-rank hunter being taught the way of the sword by a low rank like me. Because even with a high rank, I can't make up for a lack of skill, the master replied, his voice firm. Later, as the student prepared for a D-rank dungeon raid, his thoughts drifted back to his awakening as a magic hunter. Why did a swordsman like me get awakened as a magic hunter? The sword skills I've learned over the past decades. I have no use for them in a dungeon. There must be a reason for this, huh? A familiar voice interrupted his musings. Excuse me, you perhaps, are you Mr. Sun? Mr. Sun Kale? The student turned to see a man he vaguely recognized. I didn't recognize you at all. I can't find a trace of your old self. You changed so much within a few months. What happened to you? The man's words tumbled out in a rush of surprise and concern. Ah, I shouldn't have said that, he quickly added, realizing his blunder. But how did? When I came to my senses, it was fine. Even I'm not sure what really happened. Great spellcaster Candiare's blessing, temporary effect, will to rehabilitate. Any dismembered body parts are restored. The student murmured, piecing together fragmented memories. What could have really happened? The man asked, his voice filled with worry. It's not good if a young man like you becomes disabled. He let out a breath of relief. What a relief, such a relief. Don't worry about this, the student reassured him. I'm lucky to have kept my life, even with the few skills I have. Even though I heard rumors that you were safe, I can't believe it, even after seeing you with my own eyes, the man exclaimed. Are you also going because of the guild's orders? That's right, the student replied. As they approached the dungeon entrance, a gruff voice barked, You as well. No entry. No entry. No entry. They are already here. The student's heart sank. Ha, what a day this is. The members of that day are all here. Jinwoo, Ju-hai, and Mr. Kim Sang-chiak. His mind flashed back to that fateful day in the dungeon. The terror, the confusion, the desperate scramble for survival. He remembered running, leaving his comrades behind, including Mr. Sunday. He knew they wouldn't be happy to see him. He'd even pointed a sword at one of them, intending to use him as a sacrifice. Shame washed over him. Even though he'd eventually stayed, he didn't have the right to judge them for their actions. I see. I didn't think this through, he muttered. Suddenly, a voice called out, Ku Mayan. We all returned alive. Jinwoo? Are you really Jinwoo? You changed so much, I almost can't recognize you. Another voice exclaimed. I'm a bit late. What why? I looked for you as hard as I could. Why now? Why did you grow so much? The words were laced with a mixture of relief, confusion, and a hint of resentment. Your leg should be in a bad condition, huh? Someone asked. Your leg, what happened to it? An unwelcome voice cut through the tense reunion. What a romantic atmosphere. Is somebody filming a drama here? Or do hunters date each other these days? Another voice, harsher this time, silenced the jeering. Shut up, you fools. This isn't a picnic. The student felt a surge of apprehension. Take care of us today. What is this? Sorry for being late, a calm voice said. You two are the summoned hunters, Sung Jin-Woo and Sung Kyung. We'll go through the procedure first. Wait. What's going on here? Oh, those people. They are rehabilitators. That will join the raid with you hunters. Rehabilitators? Outrage flared among the hunters. Are you telling us to go raiding with criminals? Even if they are criminals, they were hunters in the past. And it's not rare for hunters who committed crimes to serve time in dungeons to reduce their sentence, the official explained. Oh my, please understand that hunters in this area have diminished significantly, so we have to resort to such measures. Also, the monitoring department's hunter, Gang Tae-shik, will participate in this raid, so don't worry. The students' unease intensified. The rehabilitators were all C rank, and while Gang Tae-shik was B rank, it still felt wrong. He exchanged a worried look with Ju-hai. Something feels off. He considered voicing his concerns, suggesting they abandon the raid, but the words caught in his throat. He knew they needed the work, and he wasn't sure he could convince the others. As they finally entered the dungeon, a sense of foreboding settled over him. He couldn't shake the feeling that this raid would be different, more dangerous than any they had faced before. He gripped his sword tighter, his heart pounding in his chest. He looked at Jinho, his friend, his comrade, and silently prayed they would all make it out alive. The stale air hung heavy in the dungeon, thick with the earthy scent of damp stone and the faint, metallic tang of something indefinable. Tilda shifted uncomfortably, her gaze fixed on the imposing figure of Gang Taishik, the monitor from the Hunters Association. His words echoed in the confined space, a stark reminder of their precarious situation. They were hunters, tasked with clearing this low-rank gate, yet the atmosphere crackled with an undercurrent of tension that belied the supposed simplicity of their mission. Taishik's announcement that he would personally oversee their operation had been met with a mixture of relief and apprehension. The disastrous incident that had claimed the lives of 11 hunters still cast a long shadow over them. 6 had survived, pulled from the jaws of whatever lurked within that gate by the man now standing before them, Sung Jin-Woo. His quiet acceptance of the leadership role offered a stark contrast to the bravado of some of the other hunters. A subtle bow, a murmured exchange of gratitude and responsibility, a silent acknowledgement of the past. These small gestures spoke volumes of the weight Jinho carried. The others, however, seemed less burdened by the past. Their impatience grated on Tilda's nerves. Their dismissive comments about the goblins, their eagerness to prove their strength, their casual disregard for the inherent dangers of the dungeon. It all felt reckless, almost disrespectful. Jinho, however, remained an enigma. His quiet confidence, his almost effortless dispatching of the initial goblins, his strange new proficiency with a dagger. It all hinted at a transformation, a hidden strength that both intrigued and unsettled her. The path split into 3, a common occurrence in these low-rank gates. The decision to divide their forces, while strategically sound, amplified the underlying unease. As Tilda and another hunter, Sung Jin-Woo, ventured down the left path, a gnawing sense of foreboding clung to her. Jinwoo's earlier encounter with Taishik replayed in her mind. The monitor's strange words about children in the dungeon, his chilling question about their willingness to eliminate threats, regardless of form. It all painted a disturbing picture. Meanwhile, Taishik led his group down the rightmost path, his demeanor a chilling blend of calm authority and something darker, something that made Tilda's skin crawl. He spoke of goblins as insects, his tone devoid of emotion, as if they were discussing pests rather than living creatures. The casual cruelty in his words sent a shiver down her spine. His subsequent interrogation of the 2 hunters under his watch, their eager assurances of their willingness to do what was necessary, further cemented Tilda's growing unease. Something was terribly wrong. As Tilda and Sung Jin-Woo progressed deeper into the dungeon, the silence became oppressive. The air grew thicker, the darkness more profound. They encountered a few scattered goblins, easily dispatched, but the expected sense of accomplishment eluded them. Instead, a pervasive sense of dread filled the void. Sung Jin-Woo, usually boisterous and confident, grew increasingly agitated, his attempts at light-hearted banter falling flat. "Maybe the others already finished up and left," he muttered, trying to mask his nervousness with a forced chuckle. Tilda didn't respond. Her senses were on high alert, straining to pick up any sign of danger. A faint, almost imperceptible sound reached her ears, a soft, rhythmic padding, like bare feet on stone. It was coming from deeper within the dungeon, growing steadily louder. She gripped her staff tighter, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly, a guttural growl ripped through the silence. It wasn't the familiar rasp of a goblin. This sound was deeper, more primal, laced with a chilling hunger. Tilda exchanged a terrified look with Sung Jin-Woo. The padding sound intensified, accompanied now by a chorus of high-pitched squeals and chittering. The darkness ahead seemed to writhe and pulsate. Then, they saw them. Emerging from the shadows, a horde of grotesque figures shambled towards them. They were small, barely reaching Tilda's waist, their bodies emaciated and contorted. Their eyes glowed with an unnatural luminescence, their mouths stretched into grotesque grins, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. They were children, twisted and corrupted by the dungeon's malevolent energy, their innocence replaced by a ravenous hunger. Tilda felt a wave of nausea wash over her. Taishik's words echoed in her mind. "Can you eliminate threats, regardless of form?" The image of the two hunters under his command, their eager affirmations, flashed before her eyes. She looked at Sung Jin-Woo, his face pale with terror. He raised his sword, his hand trembling. The first wave of the monstrous children crashed into them, their tiny claws tearing at their armor, their sharp teeth snapping at exposed flesh. Tilda fought back, her staff whirling, each blow landing with a sickening thud. But there were too many of them, a writhing mass of corrupted innocence. She could feel herself being overwhelmed, dragged down by the sheer weight of their numbers. The chilling realization dawned on her that this wasn't just a dungeon raid. It was a test, a twisted experiment designed to push them to their limits, to force them to confront the darkest aspects of their nature. And somewhere in the depths of this horrific labyrinth, Gang Taishik was watching, observing their every move, measuring their capacity for elimination. The air hung thick with the coppery tang of something metallic. Not blood, not here, not now. But the scent lingered, a phantom sensation clinging to the back of the throat. Two figures, Ko and Taishik, emerged from the gloom of a branching corridor, their faces etched with a grim determination. Pretty fast, huh? Ko's voice, smooth as polished obsidian, cut through the silence. Taishik's response was a low growl. What are you doing? You blocked my ambush. His eyes, narrowed slits in the dim light, assessed Ko with a mixture of frustration and wariness. Ko chuckled, a sound devoid of humor. My senses are sharp. He paused, a predatory glint in his eyes. My orders were to avoid conflict, but it seemed our biangular friend was becoming a liability. He gestured vaguely towards the corridor they just exited. I attempted a removal. It seems, however, plans must change. A palpable tension filled the air, thick and suffocating. Ko's gaze, once detached, now burned with a sudden, chilling intensity. I'm going to neutralize you both, just like the others. Wait, Taishik stammered, a flicker of fear creeping into his voice. Why? You're a guild member. Ko's expression remained unchanged, a mask of cold indifference. From a nearby device, a tinny voice chirped, a stark contrast to the oppressive atmosphere. Dear? Yes, your hunter job, but can't you quit? It's too dangerous. A sigh, heavy with weariness, followed. What else can we do? In this era of national depression, haven't you considered those waiting for someone who might never return? Still better than meager earnings at some construction site, the voice replied, a thread of defiance woven through the worry. The Hunters Guild won't send low-rankers like us into high-level dungeons. Consider, our first child starts middle school next year. The second, preschool? Sorry to bring it up again, the voice softened. Don't worry, Tilda, the reply came, gentle and reassuring. I know. Stay strong, just a little while longer, okay? All right. Love you, Dad. The connection clicked off, leaving a hollow silence in its wake. Ko's eyes flickered towards the device, a fleeting expression crossing his face before hardening once again. Why are you a hunter? He asked, his voice laced with a chilling mockery. Taishik hesitated, then a faint smile touched his lips. Our second child is asking all sorts of questions now. The other kids are fascinated their dad's a hunter. He paused, a touch of pride coloring his voice. Dad, does that mean you're stronger than the other dads? A wistful smile played on Taishik's lips. Of course. Daddy can even handle monsters. A childish voice, full of wonder, echoed from the device. Wow, Daddy's as powerful as I thought. Taishik's smile widened. Yeah, Daddy's strong. His expression sobered. Only 1 in 1,000 are awakened, and only 1 in 5,000 awakened are D rank or higher. Many lives rest on our shoulders. He looked at Ko, his gaze firm. 1 in 5,000. Even though I'm a hunter, I'm also a husband and a father. I can't fail today. Not tomorrow. I can't. I won't. A sudden flurry of movement. A gasp. Taishik slumped to the ground, clutching his side. Mr. Kim Sanchik, a voice cried out. Another figure, a healer named Heal, rushed forward. Heal him. Hurry. It's no use, Taishik whispered, his voice weak. You can't save me. No. Heal protested, his voice thick with desperation. You have to live. You said you had to live for your family. His words were punctuated by frantic bursts of healing energy. Taishik looked up at Ko, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and resentment. You have to live so that I can despise you. A shadow of remorse flickered across Ko's face. I'm sorry, he murmured. I truly am. I didn't want to apologize like this. I wanted to apologize properly. He straightened, his voice regaining its chilling composure. But if I lowered my head now, I'd be vulnerable. Mr. Sung, I'm sorry, Taishik whispered, his voice fading. So sorry. A heavy silence descended upon the scene, broken only by heel-choked sobs. Ko stood motionless, his gaze fixed on the still form of Taishik. Another figure, Sung, stepped forward, his voice trembling with rage. Why? Why did you do that to Mr. Kim Sanchik? Ko shrugged, his expression unreadable. Who knows? Could have been monsters. A gate opened, overwhelmed the hunters. A natural catastrophe. He paused, a twisted smile forming on his lips. I just thought of a narrative. It was going to be a goblin incident, but I suppose I'll adjust it. The detainees attempted an escape, after subduing everyone. They attacked me while I was engaged with the boss. Too much for them to overcome a B-rank hunter, like myself, and thus, I was the sole survivor of the raid. He looked at Sung, his eyes cold and calculating. How about it? Believable, wouldn't you say? You monster. Sung spat, his fists clenching. You're no match for me. I'll manage, Ko replied, his voice laced with arrogance. I'm a B-ranker. A C-rank like you couldn't possibly touch me, especially considering my specialty. Sung's eyes hardened with resolve. He turned to Heel, who was still cradling Taishik's body. Mr. Kim, I'm borrowing this. He picked up Taishik's sword, the metal cool and heavy in his hand. He looked at Heel, his voice low and urgent. Heel, can you enhance my strength? Yes, Heel replied, his voice choked with grief, but firm with determination. He channeled his power, a warm glow enveloping Sung. Mr. Sung, with a sword? Heel murmured, his voice laced with a newfound steel. Let's close the distance, so he can't evade. Ko raised an eyebrow, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. What's a mage like you doing with brute force? Rather ineffective, wouldn't you say? Heel's voice was steady, despite the tears streaming down his face. Perhaps. But for now, let's do this. I'm a swordsman. The air crackled with a sudden, unexpected power. The fight was far from over. 34.7s. The air crackled with tension, the hum of anticipation filling the silent night. Two figures, locked in a deadly dance, moved with the grace of seasoned warriors. The younger, a magician, his form lithe and nimble, darted and weaved. His every move a calculated response to the older, a swordsman, his movements fluid and precise. The younger, though gifted, was clearly outmatched. His reliance on magic, while powerful, was a double-edged sword. It granted him incredible abilities, but it also left him vulnerable. The swordsman, on the other hand, was a master of his craft. His every strike was deliberate, his every feint a calculated risk. Physical strength buffs on a magician are pretty useless, the younger mused, a hint of desperation in his voice. But for now, I'm a swordsman, since I'm a magician. I need to be aware of the strength, stamina, and agility differences between him and me, even if I'm being protected by Mr. He. It's like installing a car engine on a bike and pedaling as hard as I could. It's like a steep downhill. If I don't control my speed and take a huge curve, I will probably die. The swordsman, unmoved, continued his relentless assault. It's normal for a magician to be at a disadvantage against an assassin. It might have been a good idea to bring out a weapon, but in the end, you're just a magician. If your physical level couldn't even reach the rank, would holding a weapon even make a difference? The younger, undeterred, fought back with renewed vigor. It certainly does. Your movements are good, although you were buffed. I feel a lot of practice in those movements. It was only for a moment, but he caught up with him. If I can go just a little faster, fast and precise, pretty cool. It really was a good idea to abandon magic and hold a weapon, but that's just it. If you think a little, you might realize why. There aren't any magical swordsmen under the masses of hunters. The younger's desperation grew as the swordsman's attacks became more relentless. The healers are pain. I can't let this become an endurance battle. I'll eliminate you as fast as I can. How do you show your back to a swordsman? You look down on me too much. The swordsman, a wry smile playing on his lips, responded. Looks like you're not just a regular old man. I may not look like it, but I have an S-rank student. Even if my body can't keep up, my skills will, unfortunately. There's always a limit to one's given strength. Did you honestly think that a magician can follow an assassin's speed? Such naivety. The younger, sensing defeat, launched a final, desperate attack. If it was someone else, then you might have won, but my rank itself is superior to yours. A magician probably can't even see my movements. The swordsman, with a swift and decisive strike, disarmed his opponent. Mr. Song, yeah, that's right. It seems like you finally realize it's all futile. I'll kill you painlessly in return. Just as the swordsman was about to deliver the killing blow, a sudden shift in the air, a flicker of energy, and the younger magician was gone. In his place stood a figure cloaked in shadow, their face obscured. Did it work? A magician like you, acting like a swordsman to hide his magical skills, to unleash your magical power as soon as a sword is hurtling towards you? Not a bad plan at all. You sly old fox, of course it is. This it die. The cloaked figure, with a swift movement, disarmed the swordsman. You again. Who are you? What's your rank? Sung Jin-Woo I rank? The swordsman, stunned, could only stammer. An I rank? Heh, that can't be. Somehow, did you? If you were a power type, then unleashing that kind of strength would have been possible for even an E rank. However, seeing your reaction speed just now, you're not normal. You did block my attacks 2 times after all. Then are you an assassin type? No, that's not it either. You've been hiding your strength, haven't you? A fake ranker? No, it looks like you've known them for a long time, so that can't be it. There's no way a fake ranker would let anyone who saw their real power live. Then there's only one answer. You've been reawakened. The cloaked figure removed their hood, revealing a face etched with age and wisdom. Mr. Sun, reawakened by the reactions, you've been reawakened recently. Thinking about it recently, my boss did go to see someone because he thought he was reawakened anyways. It seems like you have little experience in being a hunter. In that case, let me teach you a lesson as your superior. The air crackled with tension as 2 formidable figures faced off. The once masked swordsman, now revealed, exuded an aura of raw power. His opponent, a seasoned hunter, stood his ground, his eyes gleaming with determination. By the reactions, you've been reawakened recently, huh? The swordsman observed, his voice a low rumble. Thinking about it recently, my boss did go to see someone because he thought he was reawakened anyways. It seems like you have little experience in being a hunter. In that case, let me teach you a lesson as your superior. The hunter, undeterred, retorted, Tell me, why did you do this? I mean, everything that happened, that's a pretty damn scary face you got there. A wry smile crept across the swordsman's lips. Lighten up. It's not like I'm doing this for fun. I heard that everything that happens in a dungeon stays in the dungeon. This is 2 billion won. I think you can understand what I'm trying to say. Please, hunter, I beg you, please kill those bastards. In addition to this money, 1 billion more to take care of the other hunters. Is that possible for you? But why are you doing this? When you find a piece of trash in the streets, you feel uncomfortable, but you don't pick it up. Why pick them up and throw them in the trash? Then one of the prisoners you are responsible for traumatized my daughter because of that. She hung herself, and her mother is still in the hospital from the shark. Thinking about how that animal will freely roam the streets after a few years, despite what is done, it doesn't let me sleep at night. The swordsman's voice softened. I understand. I will provide an adequate service worthy of 3 billion won, so don't worry. I can't just refuse a father whose daughter was manhandled by these criminals. I tried to refuse by raising the price, but he accepted it right away. Although things have become like this, I don't want to hurt you guys. If you promise to not speak of today's incident, I will let you all go. Don't you think? The hunter, however, remained skeptical. You may say that, but your expression tells me that you want to teach us a lesson and show us who's superior. No, I had no intention of believing your words in the first place. There's no reason to believe someone who is creating random stories about death moments ago. The swordsman's expression hardened. Hair, it doesn't matter if you believe me or not. It's just pitiful that all of you will die alongside those insects. The hunter, fueled by anger and desperation, retorted, Then you're damn pitiful as well. What? Because you will die soon. I don't know how many ranks you rose since E rank, but it won't be as easy as you think. The battle erupted, a whirlwind of motion and power. The hunter, though skilled, struggled to keep pace with the swordsman's relentless assault. Slow, pretty fast. How can they move like this? He really is no longer the Mr. Sun I know. Hey, 3 billion won is too little for this job now. Who would have thought I'd meet a hunter at this level? Here, our speeds are the same. Is this your fastest speed? Even if your eyes can catch up, if your body can't, then it's useless. Jinho, stay strong. Hasten. Burn. Booster. I can't play around anymore. The swordsman, his eyes gleaming with a cold intensity, pressed his advantage. Even if we have similar specs and skills, our difference in experience is too vast, and that difference will lead to your defeat. If you're going to protect your healer, then do it right. As the battle reached its climax, a sudden, ominous voice echoed in the minds of both combatants. Jinho, you're pretty durable, sorry, but can you lower your killing intent, please? An emergency quest has activated. It's sensitive to killing intent. The system activated on its own again. Quest directions. Emergency quest. Extermination. There are players who have killing intent towards you in close proximity. Slay them and ensure your safety. If this quest is not completed, your heart will stop. Number of players to kill. Number of players killed. Oh, I'm coming. I'm holding the advantage. What is he thinking? The stakes had just been raised. The battle, once a personal duel, had now become a matter of life and death. As the two warriors clashed, the fate of the hunter and the swordsman hung in the balance. The unfolding of destiny. The hunter, now aware of the impending doom, fought with renewed vigor. He unleashed a barrage of attacks, each more powerful than the last. However, the swordsman, with his superior skill and strength, effortlessly deflected every blow. You're not bad, the swordsman admitted, a hint of respect in his voice. But you're still not enough. The hunter, gritting his teeth, refused to yield. He knew that he had to find a way to turn the tide of the battle. He had to find a weakness, a flaw in the swordsman's defenses. Suddenly, an idea struck him. He feigned a retreat, luring the swordsman into a false sense of security. As the swordsman advanced, the hunter unleashed a powerful counterattack. The swordsman, caught off guard, was forced to defend himself. In the chaos of the battle, the hunter seized his opportunity. He struck at the swordsman's weak point, a scar on his shoulder. The swordsman, momentarily stunned, stumbled back. The hunter, sensing his advantage, pressed the attack. He unleashed a flurry of blows, each more devastating than the last. The swordsman, struggling to regain his footing, was overwhelmed. Just as the hunter was about to deliver the final blow, the emergency quest activated. A surge of power coursed through the swordsman's veins, revitalizing him. He countered the hunter's attack, sending him flying. The hunter, dazed and battered, struggled to rise. He knew that he was outmatched, but he refused to give up. He had to protect his comrades, to fulfill his duty. The swordsman, sensing the hunter's determination, smiled grimly. You have heart, young one, but it's not enough. With a swift motion, the swordsman raised his sword. The hunter, knowing that he could not defeat the swordsman in a fair fight, resorted to a desperate measure. He activated a hidden ability, a powerful technique that could only be used once. A blinding light erupted from the hunter's body, enveloping both him and the swordsman. When the light faded, the swordsman was nowhere to be found. The hunter, exhausted but victorious, collapsed to the ground. He had survived, but at a great cost. The emergency quest had taken its toll, leaving him weak and vulnerable. As he lay there, recovering his strength, he couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. The swordsman was a formidable opponent, and he knew that the battle was far from over. The fate of the hunter, and perhaps the world itself, hung in the balance. The air crackled with anticipation as the two warriors faced off. The younger, a rising star, exuded an aura of youthful vigor. His opponent, a seasoned veteran, was a force to be reckoned with, his eyes gleaming with a cold intensity. I'm coming. I'm holding the advantage. What is he thinking? I'm actually thankful for the system for once. It's given me another reason for me to kill you. The younger warrior, undeterred, responded. A class that specializes in daggers and agility. A close-range damage dealer primed in assassination. Best counter to you, yeah? I'm certainly learning a lot from you, including the fact that talkative guys in battle are generally useless. Skill. Sprint activated. Movement speed will increase by 30%. -1 mana will be consumed every minute. The veteran, impressed, commented. He became faster. Does he use skills as well? The battle intensified. A flurry of blows exchanged. The younger warrior, with his agility and deadly precision, landed several blows. However, the veteran, with his superior experience and strength, countered every attack. Effect. Paralysis has activated. Effect. Bleed has activated. Your health will now decrease by 1% per second. Poison? I see. It's your dagger. Looks like it can apply some interesting effects. The enemy's resistance was too high. The dot effect was cancelled. The younger warrior, realizing he was outmatched, resorted to stealth. What? His presence is gone. You actually blocked the attack despite me hiding my presence. Your sense is pretty great. Skill, stealth. I erase my shape, smell, sound, and even my aura. Only a minuscule amount of assassins, and this rare skill. That being said, no one else knows that I have this stealth skill. The reason being, no one has ever survived after seeing this skill of mine. The veteran, unfazed, countered. Your tendons are severed. It would heal quickly if you were directly healed, but only basic healing spells would work over this distance. Jin-Woo, don't try anything and stay where you are. I will come when it's your turn. The younger warrior, realizing the gravity of the situation, knew he had to buy time for his ally. If it keeps going like this, Mr. Sun's stamina will run out first. I can't even ask for outside help. I can't help Mr. Sun with my own skills, but I must buy enough time for him to get healed. Can you even withstand my attacks with that frail body of yours? You won't be able to reach the speed you used to have. At least how many minutes until your wounds heal? Your leg? A year? You talk too much. Status. Recovery. The veteran, surprised, exclaimed. He healed instantly? Was he not an assassin type? An offense class hunter with healing spells actually exists? Relying on this alone definitely has its limitations. I gotta think of other solutions as well. A trick or perhaps fake confidence. How many times can you use that spell? I can't tell. He's dangerous. The battle raged on, a deadly dance of skill and strategy. The younger warrior, though outmatched, fought with unwavering determination. He knew that every moment counted, every breath precious. As the battle reached its climax, the veteran, sensing the younger warrior's desperation, delivered a final, decisive blow. The younger warrior, struck down, lay motionless on the ground. However, just as the veteran was about to claim victory, a surge of power erupted from the fallen warrior. The younger warrior, his eyes glowing with a sinister light, rose to his feet. Again, one of my emotions died. Even anger itself is a waste on the likes of you. He saw through my stealth again. There's no hesitation when you aim for my neck. I see. I finally know the true difference between you and them. You've killed before? Huh? Haha. We are from the same species after all. I see there are many ways of life and death. The determined time to change his destiny. Even with his life, he was forced to make a difficult decision in such a short span of time. Looks like his appearance wasn't the only part of him that changed. Awakening such an unexpected power, changing the rules of society. New exclusive rules for hunters were created. There's no need to be shackled by laws or morals. The words of the strong are the law, and therefore, I'm going to unleash my full power. The younger warrior, now transformed, unleashed a torrent of attacks, overwhelming the veteran. The veteran, stunned by the sudden surge of power, could only watch in horror as his opponent closed in. Yeah, I think I know how he saw through my stealth. Stealth may hide my presence when activated, but when I attack with high bloodlust, my presence is exposed for a fraction of a second. He's waiting for that moment. Skill, bloodlust activated. A chilling darkness enveloped the battlefield. The veteran, caught in the darkness, was helpless. He could only watch as his life force was slowly drained. What is this? What is this darkness that covers my eyes? Is that his shadow? Hunters, individuals granted extraordinary abilities to combat the monstrous entities emerging from interdimensional gates, walked a tightrope between humanity and something else. They witnessed countless departures, moments where the line between survival and oblivion blurred, often forced to make agonizing choices in the face of unimaginable horrors. It was a life lived on the edge, where the very act of fighting to protect humanity threatened to erode their own. The recent dungeon break had been a brutal reminder of this precarious existence. Jinho, along with a group of seasoned hunters, had ventured into a seemingly routine dungeon, only to be confronted with a betrayal that shook them to their core. Taik, a hunter known for his efficiency and cold demeanor, had revealed his true colors, turning on his companions in a calculated act of treachery. The ensuing conflict had been a chaotic dance of desperation and raw power. Jinho, previously considered the weakest of the group, found himself thrust into the heart of the struggle. An inexplicable transformation had begun within him, a mysterious power that surged with each challenge, pushing him beyond his perceived limitations. It was a power he didn't fully understand, a force that seemed to draw strength from the very darkness it opposed. The confrontation with Taik had been a brutal awakening. The seasoned hunter, with his precise strikes and unwavering resolve, had pushed Jinho to the absolute brink. Every fiber of his being had been tested, forcing him to confront his own mortality and the burgeoning power within. In the aftermath, a profound shift had occurred. He had overcome the seemingly insurmountable, but a nagging emptiness accompanied his newfound strength, a sense of something subtly altered, a piece of himself perhaps left behind in the struggle. His fellow hunters, those who had survived the harrowing ordeal, were effusive in their gratitude. They had witnessed Jinho's unexpected strength, a power that had shielded them from certain peril. Their words of thanks echoed in the cavern, a testament to the life-altering events they had just endured. But the immediate danger wasn't entirely extinguished. The dungeon gate, a gaping maw between worlds, remained open, a potential conduit for further incursions. Jinho, driven by an innate sense of duty, volunteered to remain behind, ensuring the gate's closure. He understood the potential ramifications of leaving it unchecked, the risk it posed to the unsuspecting world beyond. The other hunters, recognizing the weight of his decision and having witnessed his capabilities, reluctantly agreed to depart, promising to alert the Hunters Guild to the unfolding situation. Alone amidst the debris, Jinho's gaze fell upon a peculiar object, a rune pulsating with an ethereal glow. It was a stealth rune, an artifact capable of bestowing remarkable abilities related to concealment and subterfuge. The discovery underscored the hidden potential within the dungeon, the latent power that could be harnessed by those willing to delve into its depths. Before departing, the other hunters expressed their concern for the fallen comrades, those who had not survived Taik's betrayal. They spoke of the importance of proper farewells, of honoring those who had made the ultimate sacrifice. But the urgency of the situation demanded immediate action. They vowed to return and attend to the somber task, but for now, their priority was to secure the area and inform the authorities. With the departure of the other hunters, a profound silence descended upon the cavern. Jinho was left alone with his thoughts, the weight of his recent experiences settling upon him. He pondered the nature of the darkness he had confronted, not just the monstrous entities from beyond the gate, but the darkness that resided within the hearts of men. The words of Nietzsche returned, a chilling reminder of the delicate balance between hunter and hunted, between fighting the abyss and becoming a part of it. The arrival of guild officials shattered the quietude, marking the beginning of a formal investigation. The incident had sent ripples through the Hunters Guild, prompting a swift and decisive response. Jinho found himself face-to-face with Jinho, the formidable head of the monitoring division, a man known for his sharp intellect and unwavering dedication to upholding the guild's regulations. The interrogation was thorough, every detail scrutinized, every action analyzed. Jinho, after careful consideration, decided to reveal the truth about his awakening, the sudden surge of power that had transformed him. He recounted the events of the confrontation with Taik, explaining how he, a seemingly unremarkable C-rank hunter, had managed to overcome a seasoned B-rank assassin. The revelation was met with understandable disbelief. The notion of a C-rank hunter overpowering a B-rank, especially one as skilled as Taik, defied conventional wisdom. Questions hung in the air, unspoken but palpable, regarding the veracity of Jinho's account. Despite the skepticism, Jinho recognized the gravity of the situation and the importance of Jinho's cooperation. He requested his assistance in compiling official reports, a necessary procedure to document the incident and prevent future occurrences. Jinho, understanding the need for transparency and accountability, readily agreed. The conversation then turned to the wider implications of the incident, the potential fallout that could extend far beyond the confines of the dungeon. Jinho issued a stark warning about Huang Dong-su, the younger brother of the infamous S-rank hunter, Huang Dong-suk. Dong-su was known for his volatile temperament and his unwavering loyalty to his family. Jinho cautioned that he might seek retribution for the events that had transpired, placing Jinho squarely in his sights. The warning was chilling in its implications. Jinho had inadvertently made a powerful and potentially dangerous enemy, a hunter whose influence and power extended far beyond the reach of ordinary law enforcement. Jinho suggested that relocating, perhaps even leaving the country, might be the safest course of action, a way to avoid the impending storm. Jinho, however, remained steadfast. He refused to be intimidated, refusing to cower in the face of potential danger. He had faced the abyss within the dungeon, and he would not shy away from the challenges that lay before him. As the investigation progressed, Jinho found himself reflecting on his own transformation, the profound changes that had taken place within him. He had once been a hunter struggling to survive, barely clinging to the lowest rungs of the hunter hierarchy. Now, he possessed a power that rivaled even the most experienced and formidable hunters. The change was more than just physical. It was a fundamental shift in his perception of himself and the world around him. He felt a growing sense of responsibility, a burden of power that weighed heavily upon him. He had glimpsed the darkness that lurked both within the monstrous entities he fought and within the hearts of men, and he knew that the fight was far from over. The dungeon incident had been a catalyst, a pivotal moment that had irrevocably altered the course of his life. He was no longer the same person who had entered those depths. He was stronger, more resilient, and acutely aware of the dangers that surrounded him. The abyss had indeed gazed into him, and in that exchange, something profound had occurred. He was no longer just a hunter. He was something more, something different. He was a force of change, a beacon of resilience in a world teetering on the brink of chaos. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril. He would encounter new adversaries, face unimaginable challenges, and be tested in ways he could scarcely comprehend. But he would face them with unwavering resolve, carrying the echo of the abyss within him, a constant reminder of the power he now wielded and the responsibility that came with it. The story of Sung Jin-Woo was far from over. It was a story of transformation, of the constant struggle against the encroaching darkness, and of the enduring strength of the human spirit. The abyss had gazed into him, and he had returned the gaze, ready to confront whatever destiny had in store. This expanded narrative delves deeper into the psychological and emotional impact of the events on Jinho. It explores the themes of responsibility, transformation, and the struggle against inner darkness in greater detail. The descriptions are more vivid, creating a more immersive experience for the reader. The pacing is adjusted to allow for more character development and reflection. The expanded narrative continues to avoid explicit descriptions of violence, focusing instead on the consequences and aftermath of conflict. It also emphasizes the philosophical underpinnings of the story, drawing on Nietzsche's quote to explore the complex relationship between the hunter and the hunted. The added length allows for a more nuanced exploration of the characters and their motivations, creating a richer and more compelling narrative. The focus remains on creating a suspenseful and engaging story without resorting to graphic depictions of violence. Jinho, you've changed a lot, a voice observed, the tone laced with quiet contemplation. The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken years. And I haven't changed a bit since then. A self-deprecating chuckle followed, a stark contrast to the gravity of the statement. The speaker acknowledged the transformations time and experience had carved into Jinho, lines etched deep by the brutal hand of the hunter's life. While their own existence seemed to have stagnated, a still pool reflecting a relentless, unchanging sky. You've also experienced many different hardships, they continued, their voice softer now, almost hesitant. The unspoken acknowledgement of shared trials hung between them, a silent understanding forged in the crucible of fear and loss. Changing is different for everyone, they concluded, a simple statement that held the weight of a profound truth. It was a recognition of the unique paths they'd taken, diverging yet bound by the shared reality of their profession. You're right, Jinho agreed, his voice a low murmur, the years mirroring the changes in his companion's tone. The other hunter, a B-rank healer, shifted uncomfortably. You know, they confessed, a tremor in their voice betraying the underlying vulnerability. I get scared way too easily to be a hunter. The words were a jarring admission, a crack in the facade of professional composure. The fear, once a hidden tremor, now resonated with raw honesty. I tried to overcome my fears, they continued, their voice gaining a touch of defiance. But it wasn't easy. The struggle was palpable, the unspoken battles fought in the shadows of countless dungeons. As a B-rank healer, I'm typically assigned to A or B-rank dungeons, they explained, the routine a stark reminder of their professional limitations. Sometimes even C-rank if my condition isn't optimal. A pause, a breath taken to gather strength. But I still join D or E-rank raids. The confession hung in the air, a surprising revelation. And then I constantly met you, Jinho. The words were laced with a mixture of exasperation and grudging admiration. I kept healing the injuries that never stopped appearing on you. A rueful laugh escaped their lips, a self-deprecating humor that lightened the gravity of the confession. To be honest, they admitted, you got hurt so much it became pretty annoying. Their initial perception of Jinho, once clouded by frustration, now held a different light. I thought you were stupid and vain at times, they confessed with a wry smile. The judgment was honest, yet tinged with a newfound respect. But you always managed to survive, they conceded, their voice filled with awe. Those eyes brimming with life. They seemed like they were screaming for survival, for tomorrow. A note of quiet sadness entered their voice. But I don't think I'll ever be able to have those eyes, they admitted. The words carrying the weight of a profound self-assessment. A flicker of memory ignited their face. You promised we'd eat together when we came back alive, didn't you? The promise, a fragile thread of hope in the harsh landscape of their profession, was a powerful bond. I'll return this weight by you. The announcement that followed was unexpected, a definitive end to a chapter. I'm retiring. I'm gonna head back to my hometown, Busan. The decision, though final, held a sense of peace. An invitation, simple yet heartfelt, followed. Tell me if you ever visit, they said, a warmth in their voice that belied their earlier apprehension. I'll buy you some fresh sashimi. A brief explanation followed, delivered with a touch of playful informality. Sashimi is a Japanese delicacy, consisting of very fresh raw meat or fish, sliced into thin pieces and often eaten with soy sauce. Jinho's response was simple, understated. Okay. But the silence held the weight of unspoken gratitude and shared understanding. A new resolve solidified within Jinho. The weight of the healer's words, the acknowledgement of his own relentless pursuit of survival, forged a new steel in his determination. I just got another reason to become stronger, he thought, the words a silent vow. The name of the S-rank hunter echoed in his mind, a name synonymous with power and a challenge he couldn't ignore. S-rank hunter Hwang Dong-soo. The urgency of his situation was stark, undeniable. I need to get stronger fast, he determined, his thoughts a sharp, focused laser beam. Only then will I survive. His encounter with Jinho was a sharp shift from the quiet contemplation of the previous meeting. He found Jinho overseeing a motley group of hunters, an unusual assembly. Look, Jinho, Jinwoo remarked, his tone sharp with curiosity. What's all this? What do you mean by all this? Jinho's explanation was swift and to the point. They are teammates for today. Those who have a hunter's license but can't attend raids due to various reasons, injured, those who are struggling in life because of various reasons, were drafted into our team. Jinho's eyes fell on a young person amongst them, a stark contrast to the weathered faces of the other hunters. Is a kid even allowed to do raids? Jinho's reply was concise. If an underage kid is awakened, then there's no law banning them from raids. The young hunter, bristling at the implication, retorted, Kid? That's rude. I'm a full-fledged hunter. Jinho's assessment was direct, devoid of unnecessary pleasantries. You're a high schooler, right? Do you have any raid experience? None, E-rank I assume. He offered a solution, a pragmatic approach. Well, it's okay. You don't have to follow me into the dungeon. Just wait outside. Only Jinho and I will go in. We weren't allowed to attempt a C-rank dungeon with just the two of us, so that's why we brought you guys as well. By law, a C-rank raid needs 10 people. Doubt rippled through the assembled hunters. One voiced the collective question. A C-rank dungeon with just the two of them? Are they really that strong? And will you really give each of us the promised amount even when we stay outside? Jinho's assurance was firm, his voice carrying a hint of underlying calculation. Yes, of course. It's a pretty damn good deal considering that you don't have to lift a finger. All you have to do is wait for us outside until we finish. However, you must not tell anyone what you've seen or heard here. If you do, you must pay back 10 times as much as you earned. It's all written in the contract you've signed. Jinho's gaze then shifted to Jinho's attire, a sudden change in focus. But you know, I've been wondering what the hell are you wearing? Jinho's response was simple, a matter-of-fact explanation. It's a full set of hardened armor, made in an Italian artisan guild. If we're going to raid with just the two of us, shouldn't I prepare at least this much? Jinho's response was a good-natured jest. Just take off the armor when I'm asking you nicely. A simple request followed, a small act of dependence amidst the display of strength. Yes, brother, please help me up. Whispers rippled through the remaining hunters, their observations laced with skepticism and speculation. They are going to raid the C-rank dungeon by themselves? They don't look that strong. If they are strong enough to clear C-rank dungeons by themselves, then wouldn't it be better to clear high-rank dungeons given from large guilds? What happens if they both meet with misfortune? Another hunter's response was pragmatic, a reflection of their own self-interest. Well, we did receive our payment, so? A cynical observation followed. Tisk, they are showing off. Youth showing off will naturally bring about unfortunate circumstances for many people. Their return was met with a mixture of relief and renewed speculation. The whispers turned to overt investigation, fueled by curiosity and a sudden surge of suspicion. The quiet observation of Jinwoo and Jinho's success triggered a chain reaction, a sudden rush to uncover the truth behind their seemingly impossible feat. The name Sung Jin-Woo, once a whisper in the shadows, was about to burst into the light. Sung Jin-Woo, an E-rank hunter, had a peculiar knack for surviving catastrophic events. His extraordinary luck, or perhaps something more, had seen him emerge unscathed from 3 separate incidents that had claimed countless lives. The first was the infamous double air incident, a devastating accident involving airborne vehicles. The second, even more chilling, was the complete annihilation of Wang Dongsak's hunting party, a group of seasoned veterans, inexplicably wiped out. The most recent, and perhaps most perplexing, was the assassination of a high-ranking guild monitoring supervisor. These weren't minor mishaps. These were cataclysmic events, leaving behind scenes of unimaginable devastation and loss. Yet, Sung Jin-Woo walked away each time, seemingly untouched by the chaos. His association with Eugene, a seasoned hunter he met during the second incident, added another layer of intrigue to the mystery surrounding him. His rapid ascent through the ranks was equally baffling. Starting as an E-rank hunter, a designation signifying the lowest tier of skill and experience, Sung Jin-Woo displayed an unprecedented capacity to overcome challenges, conquering C-rank gates with an alarming speed. His exceptional performance raised serious questions among the hunter community, leading many to suspect he possessed a secret, a hidden power that defied explanation. The whispers began. Was Sung Jin-Woo a reawakened individual? This was a term for those who had undergone a profound transformation, unlocking extraordinary abilities that shattered the boundaries of conventional human capabilities. The sheer improbability of his survival in those 3 devastating events fueled this speculation. No ordinary hunter could have survived such calamitous circumstances, each involving the demise of numerous experienced hunters. The statistical improbability was simply too great to ignore. The incident involving the guild supervisor was particularly intriguing. The official report detailed a seemingly impossible feat. A C-rank magician and a B-rank healer had somehow managed to subdue a B-rank assassin. However, assassins were notoriously difficult to counter with magic, especially a skilled B-rank assassin who would prioritize eliminating the healer first, crippling the magical support before engaging the magician. The sheer absurdity of the event pointed towards a hidden variable, an unaccounted-for element that had dramatically altered the outcome. The investigators were baffled. The only survivors were the B-rank assassin, who remained strangely uninjured, the C-rank magician, and the E-rank hunter, Sung Jin-Woo. The conclusion was inescapable. A third party had been involved, a silent, unseen force that had orchestrated the supervisor's incapacitation. It was an act of precision and power that transcended the capabilities of the reported participants. The weight of this realization settled heavily on the shoulders of the investigators. The chief, a man known for his sharp intellect and unwavering resolve, was deeply troubled by this unprecedented event. He knew, with chilling certainty, that something far greater and more sinister was at play. It wasn't simply a matter of solving a single murder. It was a matter of understanding a force that could rewrite the very rules of engagement within the hunter community. The chief made a decision. He wouldn't rely on standard procedures. This called for a more direct, personal investigation. He decided to go undercover, venturing into the very heart of the mystery. He needed to observe Sung Jin-Woo, to assess his capabilities firsthand, to determine the true extent of his hidden potential. This was not a typical investigation. This was a calculated risk, a high-stakes gamble that could reveal the truth or lead to unforeseen consequences. He chose to lead the scouting mission personally, a stark deviation from his usual protocol, indicating the gravity of the situation. This was no ordinary case. This was far beyond the scope of regular occurrences. The stakes were immense, and the chief was willing to risk everything to unravel the truth. The scouting mission brought the chief face-to-face with Sung Jin-Woo. His observations confirmed the rumors. Sung Jin-Woo was far stronger than his E-rank designation suggested. The chief witnessed firsthand the young hunter's remarkable abilities. A quick glance at Sung Jin-Woo's status screen revealed staggering attributes, significantly exceeding those of a typical level 39 hunter. His HP, MP, strength, vitality, agility, and intelligence were all exceptionally high. Even more surprising was the extremely high physical damage reduction of 81%, a feat unheard of for someone of his apparent rank. It was apparent that Sung Jin-Woo was not only a formidable combatant, but that he was actively concealing his true power. Further investigation revealed Sung Jin-Woo had recently leveled up, acquiring several powerful new skills. This sprint skill, already impressive, had been enhanced. He had also learned Vital Strike, a deadly technique for critical damage, and Advanced Dagger, significantly increasing his proficiency with daggers and adding a substantial damage boost. Moreover, he had acquired the Stealth skill, allowing him to vanish entirely, leaving no trace. His acquisition of these skills, coupled with his remarkable stats, further confirmed his immense and previously hidden strength. His rate of advancement was meteoric, hinting at an almost supernatural rate of progression. The chief was deeply impressed, but also increasingly concerned. Sung Jin-Woo's potential, once uncovered, represented both a tremendous asset and a potential liability. He possessed the power to reshape the landscape of the hunter community, but the source of this power remained shrouded in mystery, and its control, a crucial question mark. This mystery was the ultimate objective of the investigation. It wasn't enough to know his strength. The chief needed to discover its origin. The final scene depicted a chance encounter outside a dungeon gate. A group of hunters stood waiting, clearly expecting someone. Sung Jin-Woo arrived, and the party leader approached him, recognizing the young hunter's extraordinary abilities. The leader's words confirmed the chief's suspicions. Sung Jin-Woo was a rare, exceptional recruit, a once-in-a-generation talent. The scene concluded with an offer from the White Tiger Guild, one of South Korea's most prominent hunting guilds. They offered Sung Jin-Woo a contract, significantly higher than any previous offer. The guild's chief, a figure of considerable authority and influence, personally extended the invitation, reiterating the belief in Sung Jin-Woo's exceptional talent and the immense value he could bring to the guild. The sheer magnitude of the offer, almost 50 billion in compensation, hinted at the desperation of the guild to secure the young hunter's services. The offer wasn't simply about money. It was about securing a game-changing asset. Sung Jin-Woo, despite his seemingly unassuming exterior, had become a pivotal figure in the unfolding drama. The chief knew then that this was only the beginning, and he would follow the trajectory of this mysterious hunter with a keen and watchful eye. The mystery of Sung Jin-Woo's extraordinary abilities and his role in the chain of events leading up to the guild's supervisor's incapacitation remained the central focus, and the narrative ended on a cliffhanger, leaving the audience anticipating the next stage in the unfolding mystery. The air crackled with unspoken tension. The opulent office, a testament to the White Tiger Guild's power, felt suffocating. Across the polished mahogany desk, a high-ranking guild official leaned forward, his gaze intense. "How much is the White Tiger Guild's building price for you to make an offer like this?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implication. The other man, his features obscured by shadow, remained calm. "Excuse me, what does that mean?" His voice was even, devoid of any emotion that betrayed his inner thoughts. The official didn't flinch. "We are not using all the floors, but it should be around 50 billion won." The sheer audacity of the offer hung in the silence that followed. "And you want to hand that over to me?" The question, though seemingly incredulous, held a subtle undercurrent of challenge. The official hesitated, then attempted a casual approach. I'm not sure what you're talking about." 30 billion. He trailed off, the slight tremor in his voice betraying his unease. The game had begun. Eugene offered someone a 30 billion won building. The official pressed, attempting to gauge the other man's reaction. "If you're offering twice that price, doesn't that mean you'll be offering your 50 billion won White Tiger Guild building? Just how great is his ability that Eugene offered 30 billion for him? They haven't even reviewed his rank yet. Isn't he just bluffing because there's no way to confirm it?" The shadowed figure remained impassive. "If you think I'm bluffing, I can confirm it for you. Since he offered twice the amount, I thought he had even heard about my deal with Jinho, but it doesn't look like he knows about it." The subtle mention of Jinho introduced a new layer of intrigue, hinting at a larger network of power plays and strategic alliances. The official shifted in his seat, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. "Then we are finished here," he murmured, a hint of regret in his voice. "Did I rush it too much? If I had just found out the details of Eugene's offer, got permission from the guild, and taken small and steady steps." He trailed off, lost in a mental replay of his actions, highlighting the immense pressure and strategic importance of the situation. The shadowed figure broke the silence. "All right, how did you obtain this information about me? Did you research my background?" A faint, almost imperceptible sound, a soft huh, was the only response. The official, however, seemed to understand. Stealth, he stated, his voice low. Don't turn around. I see. If he's a reawakened person who can even use stealth, then it makes sense that Eugene would make such a careless offer. The revelation was stark, painting a picture of a world where extraordinary abilities and clandestine operations were commonplace. The official continued, his tone shifting to a more explanatory one, attempting to mitigate the tension and to justify his actions. I didn't order the research on purpose. Somebody working in our guild noticed that somebody was clearing C-rank dungeons at an extremely fast rate, so we dug into it and found you. Jinho must have seen your skill during the second raid and is receiving a test from his father's guild, similar to what you both are doing now. Considering all those points, everything comes together, and we arrive to where we stand now. The shadowed figure pressed further, his interest shifting to the scope of the investigation. How many people know about me? Just me and one of my subordinates, the official replied, a hint of anxiety coloring his voice. I wonder how Chief is doing. It looks like I was noticed due to clearing C-rank gates too quickly. I do not want the number of people who know about me to increase. If perhaps a rumor about me starts spreading, can I take it as your and your subordinate's responsibility? A beat of silence. The implication was clear. The man's silence implied acceptance of this burden. The official continued, I'm required to formally report this to the guild master, but I don't want to. I'll warn my subordinate properly as well. Thank you, the shadowed figure responded, his voice still even, devoid of any emotion that betrayed his inner thoughts. The official, however, was not finished. A new gambit emerged. That's a problem. We're running out of gates to train our new recruits. It's not like we can send them to higher-ranked gates. Then how about we make a deal? We'll sell 3 of our C-rank gate reservations. Of course, this is a special offer only for today. If you don't take this chance, it will be hard to reserve a C-rank gate for a while. The offer, seemingly unrelated, was clearly a strategic move, a calculated risk. The shadowed figure paused, weighing the offer. Are you a door-to-door salesman? Since gates don't only spawn in the metropolitan areas, we can train the recruits down in another province. The only problem is that it could create conflicts between us and other major guilds. The subtle counteroffer demonstrated a keen understanding of the situation's complexities. I accept, the shadowed figure declared. How much is it in total? Let's say 300 million each, the maximum price in mana crystals and magic crystals you can get from a C-rank dungeon, the official replied. This was not just a business transaction. This was yet another piece in the complex power game that was unfolding. The shadowed figure countered. 200 million if you're selling for that price. We will make a loss. 300 million is a bit difficult for us. How about 200 million? This negotiation highlighted the figure's astute business acumen. The official paused, weighing his options. The risk of this deal was carefully assessed. Okay then, he conceded, his voice strained. The transaction was swift, almost unsettling in its efficiency. Huh? Hey, is it done? 3 C-rank gates total 600 million won. Please send it to my account. And this is a gift from me. Would you please open your mouth? The sudden offer of healing, delivered with an almost casual nonchalance, underscored the power dynamics at play. The shadowed figure, finally revealing some emotion, was wary. What about my wound? The fact that you just showed me your stealth and healing abilities, can I take that as a sign of your trust? If it means that you will at least keep my secret, Chief. The title suggested the start of a complex, ongoing relationship. The official, for a fleeting moment, was thrown off balance. What was that like just then? Did things not go well with Sung Jin-Woo? His question revealed a network of interconnected events and a shared understanding of the larger game at play. The reply confirmed his suspicions. I think we've met a much more formidable person than we thought, sir. It's been transferred, 600 million just like you said. To think that a cancelled gate sold for this much. To whom did you sell it? It's a trade secret, came the swift and final reply. The scene shifted, revealing the impact of the events from the official's perspective. Chief, second manager's office. Chief, there are C-rank gates left in our area, and all the bidding prices are below 10 million won. Could it be? I think we've been had, Chief. Eugene's team had no intention of raiding tomorrow from the beginning. I failed to scout Sung Jin-Woo and even got scammed. Does this mean he did this without fear that I might reveal his identity? The realization hit hard. They had been completely outmaneuvered. The final twist arrived in the form of an anonymous message. An unknown number. You have a message. Unknown number. This is Sung Jin-Woo. With this, I'll pretend you never did background research on me. The official, left reeling from the events, contemplated the implications. Well, the deal was his background for money. He's a tough one, really. The money we use today isn't much to the White Tiger Guild. I might get in trouble with the guildmaster, though. Job change. Seems interesting. I wonder what kind of monsters will be in there. At last, this game seems to start for real. The final line hinted at a far larger, more complex game that was just beginning. The quiet intensity of the story, built entirely on dialogue and implication, left the audience breathlessly anticipating the next move. The air hung heavy with anticipation. A faint shimmer, almost imperceptible, danced at the edge of the player's vision. This was it, the activation of Active Vital Strike LV1, a skill exclusive to daggers, a whisper of power promising efficient attacks and the ability to strike at the very heart of an enemy's defenses. The impact was immediate, a surge of heightened awareness, a sharpening of senses. This was followed by the whirring activation of Alarm Dasher, the sprint skill, a rush of speed enveloping the player, propelling them forward at a 30% increase in velocity. The cost, a single point of mana per minute, a small price to pay for the advantage gained. But the initial exhilaration quickly soured. Attacks, once swift and decisive, now landed with the dull thud of impotence. The foe before the player wasn't weak, not precisely. It moved with a ponderous slowness, its attacks lacking any real sting. The problem wasn't the opponent's strength, but the unyielding, impenetrable wall of its armor. The dagger, sharp and deadly, simply bounced harmlessly off its surface. A grim familiarity settled upon the player, a memory surfacing of another encounter, another opponent encased in armor that defied their blade. The feeling was inescapable, déjà vu of a frustrating battle long since fought. A sharp, electronic chime sliced through the tense silence. In alarm, the system registered a significant event. A knight, a creature of the shadows, had been subdued, its threat neutralized. A wave of relief washed over the player, but it was short-lived, quickly replaced by a cynical observation. A proper monster? The player muttered, a hint of disdain in their voice. This was hardly a challenge, a mere stepping stone, hardly worthy of the name monster. However, the chilling thought of more such encounters, more of these lumbering, heavily armored foes, adulting monsters, the player labeled them, hung heavy in the air. The prospect was undeniably annoying. The dungeon itself felt like a suffocating cage. The darkness, pierced only by the flickering light of a torch, pressed in, swallowing the world in a claustrophobic embrace. It was the definition of an instant dungeon, a temporary space with no escape until every threat within was vanquished. This grim reality underscored the importance of mana conservation. Every point was precious, every spell carefully considered. Adding to the pressure was a constant, gnawing anxiety. The accumulating damage, a slow, insidious drain on the player's vitality. Another alarm blared, its insistent tone echoing the dungeon's suffocating atmosphere. The stark message confirmed the player's worst fears. Escape was impossible until the dungeon was cleared. Further restrictions compounded their predicament. Potions were unavailable, the shop inaccessible, and even the usual healing upon leveling up was cruelly denied. The situation was dire, a stark test of the player's skills and resilience. Stealth and Vital Strike remained their most potent weapons, but their mana cost was substantial, a luxury they could ill afford in this resource-starved environment. A moment of self-recrimination followed. A pang of regret echoed the realization that if they had foreseen this desperate situation, they would have invested more heavily in intelligence. With a resolute sigh, the player initiated Stealth LV1, the world fading into a muted haze as 200 mana vanished, only to be further depleted at a rate of 10 mana per second. Their presence vanished, dissolving into the shadows, a phantom moving unseen. Simultaneously, Vital Strike LV1 reasserted its lethal efficiency. Another 70 mana spent, a gamble on decisive strikes. The terms of the challenge were brutal. Unknown difficulty, no healing, no escape, a deadly game of attrition. This was more than just a dungeon. This was a job change quest, a trial of unparalleled difficulty. The hours stretched into an uncertain future, the timeline a blur of potential weeks. The lack of healing added a terrifying dimension to their challenge. A sudden, jarring thought pierced the tension. Had they even completed their daily quest? The initial expectation of a quick, one-night affair now felt like a naive fantasy. The specter of defeat loomed large. If this dragged on beyond 12 hours, they risked becoming prey once more. A chilling echo of the previous near-fatal encounter with the centipede. A sense of urgency tightened its grip. The need to swiftly change jobs and complete the daily quest became paramount. The memory of their panicked retreat from the centipede, a humiliating escape from overwhelming odds, flashed vividly in their mind. But a new question arose, a glimmer of defiance in the face of fear. Could they face the centipede now, defeat it, where before they had only fled? Before such a momentous challenge, however, a more immediate task lay ahead. The heavily defended enemies at hand demanded their undivided attention, each a small, perilous step closer to the final showdown. A grim strategy formed in the player's mind. If the armor remained impervious, they would change their tactics, focusing on the vulnerable points, targeting the bones beneath the protective shell, exploiting the gaps in the enemy's defenses. The familiar chime of the system's alarm echoed once again, heralding another victory. Another knight, vanquished, its threat neutralized. The spoils of battle were modest but welcome. A leather pouch, a simple container, revealed a sizable sum of 30,000 gold within its worn leather. A high knight's chest plate, a piece of B-type armor promising a 7% reduction in physical damage, though it came with a trade-off, a reduction in movement speed for those lacking sufficient strength. The addition of this gold to the player's existing wealth brought their total to a significant 863,400 gold. But the respite was brief. Another alarm blared. Another knight, this one a phantom of the shadows, utilizing the art of stealth. This foe was different, a magician wielding the destructive power of blaze magic, eerily reminiscent of the devastating spells employed by Jogai Wan. A disquieting sense of repetition settled over the player. It was as though they were reliving a past battle, a nightmarish rerun of a previous confrontation. The dungeon, far from simple, was proving to be a labyrinth of challenges, a kaleidoscope of foes requiring varying strategies. Each encounter was a lesson in adaptation, demanding a nuanced approach. Strength reigned supreme against the heavily armored knights, while sense was crucial for the elusive assassins. Archers demanded agility, while the magic-wielding foes called for a reliance on vitality. The player's current stat allocation felt inadequate. Without sufficient strength, the knight's armor remained impenetrable. Low sense made the stealthy assassins a formidable threat. The lack of investment in intelligence was acutely felt, hindering mana conservation, forcing the player to severely limit their use of skills. Fatigue, an insidious foe, was accumulating relentlessly, adding a relentless pressure to the already desperate situation. The longer the fight continued, the worse the conditions became. A moment of respite was deemed necessary, a brief moment of stillness to alleviate the relentless drain of fatigue. Yet, the enemies pressed on, offering no reprieve, a relentless assault on their stamina. Another leather pouch yielded a smaller amount of 20,000 gold and a simple water bottle, its contents lukewarm. The player pushed forward, their level rising significantly, their inventory swelling with salvaged equipment, their fatigue lessening. The time had come to venture onward, toward the next, undoubtedly perilous stage. Among their recently acquired loot were a warden's necklace, a high knight's chestplate, archer's gloves, high knight's gauntlets, a high magician's ring, and assassin's boots, all of B-grade quality. The looming presence behind the door to the boss room was undeniable. A palpable chill seeped from the chamber beyond, a silent warning of the power that lay in wait. A king's throne rune lay near, an artifact of a forgotten age. The player felt a familiar sensation, a tingling of the fingertips, the memory of a chilling encounter returning, a sensation they knew all too well, the presence of immense power. The cold seemed to emanate from that very door. The anticipation was palpable. The final scene revealed the character's current status. Name Sung Jin-Woo, level 45, job non, fatigue 43, title Wolfslayer, HP 45,118,330, MP 6, 679, 0. The final challenge lay ahead. 13.0s. A chilling wave of dread washed over me. Before me stood the blood-red Commander Igress, its name a stark crimson against the dungeon's gloom. A name that screamed of power far exceeding anything I'd encountered. It moved with a terrifying grace, a predator stalking its prey. The commander effortlessly sliced through massive stone pillars, the solid rock yielding to its attacks like soft tofu. This was an opponent of terrifying power, a foe unlike any I had ever faced. My attacks, even with active Vital Strike, were completely ineffective. The commander's defenses were impenetrable. Its strength clearly surpassed 80. Its destructive potential far outstripped my own. And its speed, its agility was breathtaking. My dagger, normally a weapon of precision and lethal efficiency, was useless against its armor. The commander's defenses were superior in every aspect. Despair clawed at me. How could I possibly overcome such an overwhelming adversary? This was far beyond anything I had anticipated. Without a weapon capable of piercing its armor, victory seemed utterly impossible. The weight of the situation pressed down on me, the chilling reality of my predicament inescapable. I felt the icy grip of defeat threatening to consume me. If I couldn't breach its armor, I couldn't inflict any meaningful damage. A desperate strategy formed in my mind, a plan fraught with risk, a gamble that could easily make the situation infinitely worse. It was my only option. The commander's voice, a cruel mockery, echoed through the cavern. Chivalry? You're not taking me seriously. The words were a blow in themselves, a cruel taunt that cut deeper than any physical attack. A massive blow slammed into my defenses. I managed to partially deflect the attack, but the impact still sent a jolt of pain through me, reducing my health by approximately 500 points. Without my armor, a direct hit would have been fatal. Even disarmed, the commander remained a terrifying force, a creature of immense power. How could I, a single warrior, possibly contend with such a monstrosity? Despite my clear inferiority in terms of raw strength, I had one significant advantage: speed. Alarm Dasher, my sprint skill, activated. A surge of energy coursed through me, boosting my movement speed by 30%. The cost, 1 mana point per minute, was a small price to pay for the increased agility it granted. I needed to rely on my speed, on my ability to evade the commander's relentless attacks. The dance began, a deadly ballet of evasion and desperate maneuvers. I became a blur of motion, darting and weaving, avoiding the commander's devastating blows. Each narrowly avoided attack was a testament to my skill, a testament to my will to survive. But the relentless pressure, the constant threat of annihilation, was taking its toll. The dungeon echoed with the sound of the commander's frustrated roars, its attacks falling short, impacting the stone around me with earth-shattering force. The sheer power of its blows was awe-inspiring, terrifying. It was a testament to the incredible strength of my opponent. But it also served as a chilling reminder of my own vulnerability. A piercing alarm blared, a stark warning echoing in the cavern. My health had fallen below 30%. The red warning light pulsed before my eyes, a grim reminder of my dwindling life force. But amidst the terror, a surge of relief flooded through me. My perseverance skill, a passive ability, activated, reducing incoming damage by 50%. This was a lifeline, a crucial buffer against the commander's devastating attacks. My passive skills, my defenses, worked in concert, providing a crucial shield against the commander's onslaught. A surge of renewed determination surged through me. The feeling of despair retreated, replaced by a fierce resolve. I would not be broken. I would not surrender. A grim smile, born of desperation and defiance, spread across my face. I laughed, a harsh, defiant sound echoing in the echoing cavern. The laughter was a testament to my unyielding spirit, a defiant challenge to the monstrous commander. I refused to succumb to fear. I would fight to the very end. The odds were stacked against me, the commander a seemingly insurmountable obstacle. But I would not give up. I would find a way. I had to. My survival depended on it. The fight continued, a deadly dance of evasion and desperate attacks, each move a gamble, each second a victory hard won against a foe of seemingly limitless power. The dungeon's oppressive atmosphere, the weight of the battle, did nothing to dampen my resolve. I would survive. I would prevail. Or I would die trying. The fight was far from over. But for now, I lived. The High Knight's Gauntlet, a B-type armor piece, offered a 3% reduction in physical damage and, importantly, protection against hand injuries. However, it came with a caveat. Movement speed would be reduced if the wearer's strength fell below 80. Despite the challenges, a fierce determination burned within. I haven't lost yet, the warrior declared, a vow echoing in the confined space. I won't hand this item over to anyone else. I can take back my stolen dagger and call it again. The warrior analyzed the situation, noting the shallowness of the current objective. It's shallow, they muttered, urging themselves on. A bit more. Focusing their energy, they activated Vital Strike LV1, a dagger-specific skill costing 70 mana. You have learned to attack efficiently, a notification echoed, followed by, you now deal critical damage as you attack your foe's vital areas. The warrior repeated this process, activating Vital Strike again and again, each time the same message is appearing. You have learned to attack efficiently. You now deal critical damage as you attack your foe's vital areas. The repetitive nature of the notifications underscored the warrior's focused, almost desperate, reliance on this skill. A sudden alarm shattered the concentration. You have slain blood-red Commander Egress. Another alarm chimed in quick succession. You leveled up. You leveled up. The warrior, catching their breath, questioned the outcome. Did I win? That was really close. A series of zeros appeared, followed by the phrase zero ability technique, highlighting the reliance on raw power and perhaps a touch of luck. Skill experience that I wasn't better in any of those. It's pure luck that I managed to win. If I made a mistake, I would have been in serious trouble, they admitted, acknowledging the perilous nature of the encounter. If it's that strong, it could fight toe-to-toe with an A-rank hunter and not fall behind. The spoils of victory were then revealed. Items: Red Knight's helmet, Dominator's touch runestone, Heartstone have been obtained. The warrior's spirits lifted. Wow, this reward is on another level. It looked like it was worth to risk myself here. Opening the leather pouch, another notification appeared. You have received 1.5 million gold. The warrior was astonished. They gave me as much gold as I have right now. To think that my gold doubled in an instant. The total gold count was updated. Total gold 3,115,629 G. But there was more. Furthermore, an S-rank item. The details of the prize were displayed. Item: Red Knight's helmet. Item class S-type armor, plus 15% physical damage reduction, plus 20 stamina, plus 20 strength. Excitement surged through the warrior. Excluding the Demon Castle key, isn't it the first time I've got my hands on a piece of S-rank equipment? The stats are on another level. The warrior calculated the implications. Even with the 15% damage reduction, it would be amazing, but plus 20 stats on vitality and strength as well. That's incredible. Strength 128 plus 20, Vitality 87 plus 20, Agility 127, Intelligence 6. Physical damage reduction 46% plus 15% equipped, and a runestone as well. I wonder what skill it contains. The details of the runestone were then displayed. Runestone. Dominator's touch-type runestone. A skill can be obtained by breaking the rune. A new item appeared. Item: Half-stone-type consumable. Quest-exclusive item. If you break the half-stone, you will instantly leave the dungeon. If the job quest ends, the dungeon is automatically destroyed. Cannot be stored. This puzzled the warrior. Why was I given a half-stone? This was definitely the boss room. If a heartstone was dropped, perhaps, does that mean the quest is not over yet? The information about the Red Knight's helmet, the runestone, and the half-stone was reiterated. Item: Red Knight's helmet. Item class S-type armor, plus 15% physical damage reduction, plus 20 stamina, plus 20 strength. Runestone. Dominator's touch-type runestone. A skill can be obtained by breaking the rune. Item: Half-stone-type consumable, quest-exclusive item. If you break the half-stone, you will instantly leave the dungeon. If the job quest ends, the dungeon is automatically destroyed. Cannot be stored. The details of the previously acquired leather pouch were also recalled. Item: Leather pouch-type container. A pouch used to store possessions. Contains 1.5 million gold.